And we're live. And we're live.
Are we?
Yeah.
For real?
I just hit.
Why?
Yep.
I'm not
It's
even.
not. It's 9:01. Sorry. I gave the
Okay.
Facebookers some a
Okay.
heads up. We'll be on at 9. So here we are.
Okay.
So how are you, sir?
Pretty good. Are we not doing spider history?
We are. JR's coming.
Oh, okay. We need to start with that then,
Okay. How come?
because I haven't been home that long. When you were like, "Oh, hey, we do this in 2 hours?" and I was like, sure. Let me rearrange things and head home." So
JR, look how nice you look. You got the collar coming out of the t-shirt. Look at that.
Yeah, I know. I'm in my I'm in my colors today. So
Nice. We have hello 4 viewers. How are you? Let me get the history up first.
I'll put it up on Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
oh, okay, January. So that's amazing one, and
Yeah, I'm trying to find the thread. Oh, here it is. So I can pull up the links so you and I can. Let's see which ones you picked. You picked. Nope, that is not the one. Right one.
oops.
Oh, here it is. I don't think I pinned it to the top, JR. That's why I couldn't see it very well. Okay, so 99 and 85 is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, that doesn't seem like 20 years ago. My gosh.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yep. All right, let me pull up the YouTube so I can see what they're saying. Actually, let me just do it this way. Thank you, 6 viewers, for tuning in. Okay, now I have the YouTubers up. Let's see what they're saying. The Goofy Strawberry. Hello, Goofy Strawberry. Power Packers 90. Hello, friendos. JP the Third. Yo, yo. Adam. About time we had more spider history, damn. The Goofy Spidey. Hey, dude. Adam. Hey, Brad. Are you guys going to renew the new Friendly Neighborhood on the main podcast? Nope. That's a satellite book. The Goofy Strawberry.
Is Power Packers the kind of guy who's going to have an opinion on Mike McCarthy being fired?
This must be a sports reference that JR is doing.
Yeah, with the main. Wait a minute. No,
to the person who's Adam. We did a Spider Satellite episode, not yesterday, the day before, and we reviewed. My God, I think it was 25 books, and it was all spec, all Spider-Geddon. It was all the Spider-Geddon tie-ins, Spider-Girls, Spider-Force, the Vault of the Spiders, and we did Venom, and we did what else did we do? We did something else. We did Web of Venom, The Carnage Reborn, and that is a Patreon exclusive. So if you want to hear those, support the site, and you can listen to that one. No, Mike is not fired. Mike is very much alive and employed if this job paid. Can I talk to the Spider-Man PS4 director, says the Goofy Strawberry. I kind of did. With the creative director I did. Brian, he was awesome. So my next interview for the PS4 is the Black Cat voice actress. We talked a little bit after Thanksgiving, and she agreed to do it. I just haven't had time to schedule it, and we haven't emailed since after Thanksgiving. So I need to give her a couple dates. I need to email the Black Cat so we can set up a date. How does that sound? So, all right, we're gonna do Spider history first, JR, if that's cool.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, we are.
I wanted the chance to jump in and take over George's Fight Clubs, but
no, George can take over yours now.
Oh, I see. Well, if he's not talking about the Green Goblin, then I guess I won't jump in and
Brad, did you get a new webcam or something?
No, why?
For some reason, you look very clear and you're not choppy at all. Most of the time, like your video for whatever, it chops most, like half of the time. It's like,
you know what you know what it may be. I upgraded my software on my modem. I was getting like 30 megs a second. I'm now getting 110. So
yeah, that's exactly what that is, Brad.
I think my upload speed is faster too. It's like 2 or 3 gig.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is. Yeah.
Well, that would explain it.
Yeah. I'm not used to seeing you this clear.
This clear? There you go.
It's weird. It's wigging me out.
Oh, you can't handle much beauty.
Did you occasionally like freeze in awkward poses sometimes just to make it feel
to mess with you
like it's supposed to? Yeah.
So I don't have a clean Spider-Man cup, but I got Cap. If I had an Iron Man cup, that would offend George.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have this much coffee. Just 32 ounces of coffee because I started getting sleepy the moment I got home. And I was like, yeah, now I'll be up till 4 a.m. Thanks. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks. All right. JR, are you ready?
I suppose. I suppose. I'm going to be doing it a little bit different this time. So
okay. Let me get the YouTube chat going up. I missed it for a second. Enigma says I'm still buffering, so I guess my signal just down to Texas is good, George.
I don't know. Is your family watching the Netflix or something?
Nope, they're all in bed.
Oh, well, wow.
The Goofy Strawberry. You should talk to Yuri, the actor of Spider-Man from PS4. It just so happens, Goofy Strawberry, we did.
Yeah, it's on. It's on the Crawl Space videos. Yeah,
it's on our YouTube channel. It's also on the front page. He was a great interview. He was a lot of fun.
Spencer got the PS4 for Christmas.
Oh, did he get the Spider-Man one where it's red?
Got the Spider-Man one. Yep.
Oh, so I remember when JR was like, "It'll be a cold day in hell before you get a PS4, boy," and you could actually pinpoint the moment where Spencer's heart broke because he was sitting right next to JR when JR said it, and JR, and now JR's like, "Yeah, we got him."
Well, I think that was when it was like $600 or something like that. Don't they usually come out and they start out at $600?
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, this was like Best Buy for a third of that. You know,
Did you gate it behind like grade performance, things like that?
I think the Best Buy had Spider-Man on sale for like $199, wasn't it?
Yeah, that
was a good deal. That was a good deal.
It was.
Hey, will you guys cover the May news? Power Packer says, "What is the May news? I don't know what that means." Enigma says, "Ooh, it's story time with JR."
Oh, I think he knows what he means. No, we won't do that until they cover the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I think that's what he's talking about. The stuff with Aunt May and what happens.
Oh, I was thinking the month of
no.
Okay.
I think that's what he's talking about, but that's not.
Got it.
That's something that you guys will cover.
Yeah, that'll be a satellite book.
Although I'll tell you, I wouldn't mind us covering on that on reviews. I read that first issue. I expected it to suck. And lo and behold, it didn't. It was actually really good. So I was like,
awesome.
I was like, wow, what is this magic? What's happening?
I see. We may talk about that on a news show. We haven't done a news show in a while, so that might be kind of fun. Okay. Coming down. You ready, JR?
Yeah.
All right, coming down. 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our January Spider history. We haven't done these in a few few months, JR. What's going on?
Feels like years sometimes, though. It's been a while. I don't know if I'll remember how to do one of these.
I think it was like the summer we stopped or something like that. I could be wrong. And to join us along for the fun is George. What's going on, George?
Oh, not much. I'm sorry. I just got a critical text from my mother. I apologize. No, I'm good.
Awesome.
A little short notice getting here tonight, but I made it happen. Very happy.
We were going to record it last night, and I got a little under the weather, and I said, "Fellas, I can't do it." And I texted, I said, "You want to do it again tonight? Try it again." And then the boys are ready. So awesome. So JR, we are traveling back 20 years ago to 1999. Prince was singing a song about it, and Howard Mackey and John Byrne were rebooting things. Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, Number 1 came out this month, along with Peter Parker's Spider-Man Volume 2, Number 1, along with Web Spinner's Tales of Spider-Man Number 1. This was a big month for Spider-Man getting rebooted.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And not only that, but this actually is very prominent in Crawl Space history, because the very first Spider history that we ever did, show number 59,
Oh God.
When Brad introduced the show. In fact, it was the January 2009
Wow.
podcast.
So this is a 10th anniversary of the.
So this is not only the 20th anniversary of the reboot, this is the 10th anniversary of Spider History.
Wow.
But Spider History was a little bit different back then. It was Brad. I tried to find it and listen to it. I didn't have time, but it was basically Brad going around doing around the table and saying, "Anybody remember these?" Yeah, and yeah, it sucked. So
this volume is also responsible for JR and I even knowing one another.
Oh, get out of here! Get out of here!
This was
Yep.
Oh yeah, the
is that how I did Spider History back in the day? I said, does anybody remember it? They all said yes, and it sucked, and then we moved on.
I
don't remember that.
I'm doing a little bit of hyperbole, but it really wasn't.
He's making stuff up, George.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was when the entire show, for example, was an hour. So the segments were. Remember those days?
Oh,
the segments were like, we talk. Everybody would talk about their memories of it, and sometimes like I wouldn't have even read the issue, in question, and we just would have moved on. And it really wasn't until the Hypno Hustler, and then finally the Joey Z episode.
Was that still in 2009?
No. That took a few.
About 2010, we got into a pattern.
2010, yes.
That we've continued for 10 years almost. Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, but it's funny though, looking at the reboot now. We've been through so many reboots now. I think we forget just how traumatizing, I suppose, this was for us.
Yes,
because it wasn't so much that the titles were being rebooted; it was the reason why they were being rebooted. Basically, to go back in time, and it's kind of funny because I was reading some of my old notes from one of the articles I wrote, and Spider-Man monthly sales had been dropping. The Clone Saga, they'd actually gone up to like over 300,000 a copy, and then they started dropping to 200,000, and then apparently, I guess when they reached the dreadfully low total of 120,000 a month,
they'd kill for that, wouldn't they?
But Marvel decided to, Marvel decided to reboot. It was they wanted to reboot because it wasn't because the quality of the storytelling was problematic, or it wasn't because Spider-Man had 5 titles and the character was way overexposed, but it was simply because he had aged and gotten married, so they needed to reboot. So we all approached this with a great deal of trepidation, and unfortunately, all our fears were pretty well realized.
It was painful as a longtime Spider-Man fan to not have issue 433. Is that it?
It would have been 442.
Oh, 442. Got it. Yeah. It was painful to have a new Spider-Man #1 and not have a continuing numbering, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I said. It was, for also comic nerds, it was traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
One, because it was done completely capriciously too. It was again, this is old hat now, but using the new #1 to juice up sales.
And this is the first time, which led to a 20-year messing with the numbering.
Yes, that was Joe Quesada's fetish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who was the editor? This is Bob Harris's problem.
Yes, this is Bob. The Bob. We're in the Bob Harris era. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
All right, let's take us through Amazing 1. Volume 2.
The thing is, first of all, when before Spider-Man was rebooted, we had the dreadful Gathering of 5 and final chapter storyline, where Norman Osborn decided to involve himself in mystic mumbo jumbo in another attempt to gain the ultimate power or whatever, and he went crazy again. He and Spider-Man had some final climatic battle, which destroyed half of New York, destroyed the Daily Bugle building. Norman's brain is now composed to silly putty, and Spider-Man has just had it. He's tired. Aunt May. We had thought Aunt May was dead for years. Remember, and then Bob Harris decided he wanted to bring her back. So then we had the whole actress genetically modified by Norman Osborn to be Aunt May thing. Well, Aunt May really comes back from the dead, and Peter decides, well, I'm going to give up Spider-Man. I'm going to burn my costume, because Aunt May is back, and I'm going to be a good husband to Mary Jane, and all kinds of other crap. And that's just it. No more Spider-Man.
Some of the stupidest storytelling in Spider-Man pre One More Day.
And didn't they take a month off between the last volume 1
Yeah.
and volume 2? And it was like a recap issue for the month.
Well, I think that's when they started chapter 1, because that's another debacle from this time period.
That's
as well.
right.
Yeah, it was running concurrently with this and Peter Parker? No.
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah.
Well, Peter Parker, of the 4 monthly Spider-Man titles, Spectacular and it wasn't Web.
It was Friendly Neighborhood.
No, it wasn't Friendly Neighborhood.
Sensational.
Yes, Sensational.
Yeah.
Todd Lago, yeah. So since they were canceled and Spider-Man Unlimited was canceled, and then it was just Amazing and Peter Parker, and they rebooted both of those at the same time with new number 1s. But also at the same time, they came out with chapter 1, which was John Byrne. Originally it was called Twice Told Tales, and when it was first announced, it was John Byrne was going to go back to the early days of Spider-Man and kind of reorder things. We didn't have a real clear picture of what he was doing, but basically kind of like the gist that I got it was, okay, taking all that we know about Spider-Man now and everything that happened, let's go back to when it started and kind of start telling these stories as if we already knew this wider universe existed with all these characters and other things of that nature.
And it was about as popular as Gangrene.
Well, it didn't have to be, unfortunately, but the execution was awful.
I remember when Jenkins came aboard on PPSM, and he said in an interview with somebody, he was like, I asked him, do I have to use chapter 1? And they were like, no, you can just pretty much pretend it didn't happen. He was like, okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. So what you have to remember too is in chapter 1, number 1, they redid Spider-Man's origin, where Peter Parker, when he went to the lab and got bitten by the radioactive spider, rather than just some miscellaneous scientific demonstration, and he wandered in there, got bitten by the spider, felt sick, then he wandered out, and leaped on walls and crap like that. This now was a presentation put on by Dr. Octavius, big old presentation. And then there's this big nuclear explosion, and it kills all kinds of people and irradiates a block or whatever, and Peter's in a coma for weeks, and during the time in the wreckage, the spider bites him. So then he finds out he has these powers. Well, Aunt May and Uncle Ben, feeling sorry for him, decide to buy him a computer rather than a microscope. And it so happens at the computer store, the burglar works there. And so the reason the burglar winds up going to Forest Hills is because he had sold Ben the computer. So he's going to go to Forest Hills and break into the Parker home and steal the computer. And then that's when he kills Uncle Ben. So, so Peter gets his spider powers in a big nuclear explosion from a demonstration by Dr. Octopus, and Uncle Ben dies because the burglar sold him a computer. It's as bad as it sounds, kids. It really is.
Yeah.
And Doc Ock didn't become just Doc Ock. He became Pantsless Bionic Ock. Literally, if you see a picture of him, he's like metal arms, metal legs. Like he looks like a cyborg, and he has no pants. So, but anyway, so
reminds me of the time Norman Osborn was in his tidy whities and what was it, Thunderbolts or Avengers?
Avengers,
something like that. Yeah.
When he turned purple. But anyway, so Amazing Spider-Man number 1 opens up. Spider-Man has been missing in action for months, and the story opens up with the Torch writing a fire message in the sky saying, "Where are you, Spider-Man?" And of course, this is one of the first things in this whole thing that rings false, is that Peter never this is before Johnny knew that Peter was Spider-Man, but Spider-Man just disappears, and Peter Parker, and he lets everybody think that anything happened. He doesn't contact any of his friends. He doesn't say, "Hey, I retired," blah, 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 blah. So pretty much a dick move. You drop out of sight, and let your best friend in the superhero community wonder where you are. And then there's another scene of Daredevil wondering where Spider-Man is, because it's like, oh, I'm having to fight more of these street criminals because Spider-Man's not here to fight all these street criminals. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You know who Spider-Man is. He did it at that time. All you have to do is call him and find out what's going on. But it was like, where is Spider-Man? Oh my God, how do we get in touch with him? Call him. You've got his number.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then of course we find out that we're not in 1999. We're actually in 1969. Okay, because the Aunt May that has come back is a doddering old fool. I guess I got to step back because right now they're living in a deluxe apartment in the Sky because Mary Jane's supermodeling career took off again. You see, because Marvel didn't know what to do with Mary Jane. I mean, because in Marvel's perspective, an attractive woman there was only two occupations for an attractive woman: model and hooker. So well, why do they have to make Mary Jane a supermodel? I mean, because they probably had
the Mary Jane Hooker storyline.
Exactly. So they made her a supermodel. But it's like Spider-Man 3 movie where Gwen's a model. Why is Gwen a model? I mean, it's like, wait a minute, is that the only job you think a woman can get? Besides obviously the other occupation. Yeah. So anyway, but there and Aunt May is saying, "Oh, Peter, why would that nice Johnny Storm try to contact that awful Spider-Man?" And it's like, "Oh my, we're an awful Spider-Man again." I mean, Aunt May was over awful Spider-Man.
Oh, I forgot
years ago.
That was the actress he told to.
Well, he told the actress. Yeah, he told the actress he was Spider-Man.
Got it. Yeah.
But the thing is, Aunt May had revised her feelings about Spider-Man since Amazing Number 200.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, I mean, they weren't best buds or anything, but she'd come to accept Spider-Man and, realize that he wasn't a bad guy and everything like that, but now we're back again and he's that awful Spider-Man. And next month in issue 2, I think, or in Peter Parker number 2, Spider-Man's got to get Aunt May her medicine in time. So, I mean, we just do this major time warp. So J. Jonah Jameson is doubling down on the anti-Spider-Man crusade because he thinks Spider-Man's hiding from him. So he's going to even make it worse, and it's like it's just the same sound. It's an old note that just it's like if they hit this note harder, we'll learn to sing to it. They just got to keep pounding on it, and we'll all eventually fall in line. But anyway, the Scorpion shows up, and the Scorpion's in a jazzy new outfit, and he's got some new benefactors, and Peter's taking pictures, and then all of a sudden, this new Spider-Man shows up. But this Spider-Man flies, doesn't have web shooters, so we know it's not the real Spider-Man. All right, we know something's up, and then
there's no curves. There's no curves to this Spider-Man that shows up either.
Brad likes his Spider-Man curvy.
Well, I mean, who's under the suit? We know, and it doesn't look like a woman.
How close were you looking? But anyway,
I got to the staple and quit.
But Peter can't worry too much about the new Spider-Man or this jazzed up Scorpion because he has an interview at Tricorp. And folks, if you remember, give Dan Slott credit. Dan Slott did the same trope, except it was called Horizon Labs.
Yes,
the exact same trope, but for all of Dan's other miscues, he actually did make the Horizon thing work. I don't think that Howard. And I hate to bash Howard. I mean, but he was the writer on these. I don't know. I don't think he knew what once he did this, he had the whole idea of introducing new characters and giving Peter a new job. And I honestly don't think he knew what to do with it once he did it. But Peter goes to Tricorp, and then he meets the United Nations worth of characters. Okay. He meets an Asian woman. He meets a hip white dude with a beard who does look like a Max Modell, about 100-pound lighter.
Wouldn't that be funny if that was Max Modell?
Well, no, it was like Harold Thorson or something like that. But anyway, so we got skinny, cool George Carlin looking white guy. Then we got fat, nerdy white guy. We have an Asian woman, and then we have an angry Hispanic. And then I think that Mackie wanted to have 2 more characters. I think he wanted to have a black character and a handicapped character. And I'm betting that John Byrne said, well, I don't want to draw that many characters. So Mackie said, okay, well, let's make the black woman a cripple. And so we had a black woman in a wheelchair. So, I mean, it was just It was
So-
too much.
Adam on YouTube chat says, I just listened to the podcast 648 where you guys were flailing Slot for copying Tricorp with Horizon. Yeah, we've done it before.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's like not only was it just like Dan Slott ripping off Mackey's idea, the idea itself was horrible to begin with. You know,
You don't like Peter being into science, George?
I much preferred what JMS wound up doing with him and making him a teacher. I much preferred that.
Yeah.
It's more. It's just a better fit for Peter.
More natural.
It's a better fit for Peter, yeah, because it lends itself to helping others more so than working as a scientist in a huge think tank. I mean,
That's true.
we can get that in so many other comic books. I mean, how many other comic book heroes were teachers?
See, that aged the character. That even our own beloved Brad Douglas said that it aged the character.
Well, Brad Douglas was wrong.
I'm trying to come up with a superhero that's a teacher, and I can't come up with one.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that was the best fit for him.
I mean,
it was a novel idea, and it kept him around young people. Then it could invest him in young people issues and current issues involving
young people who had problems.
Charles
Exactly.
Xavier. That's the only teacher I got.
Which was another thing back. And JR, you've said this several times about how you wanted Mary Jane to be like a social worker or a psychologist, or something like that. I was the one that said, yeah, being a social worker would allow even more of that street level Spider-Man stuff to come into play. Because Mary Jane would be like, oh, I know this kid, yada, yada, you know what, or I know this family, they're, yada, yada. And then Spider-Man could get involved and all kinds of, who knows what's going on. So there was a lot of ways that it could have gone better.
Yeah, I mean, if you had Mary Jane as a social worker, she'd probably run into, be running into Murdoch. I mean, Matt Murdock and doing pro. I mean, it just had a way, and Luke Cage and all that stuff. If you wanted to involve the wider Marvel universe, I mean, there just was all kinds of ways you could go with it. But so anyway, so Peter goes to Tricorp and he meets this United Nations worth of group of characters, and then the Scorpion attacks because the Scorpion is trying to find somebody in particular. Because who his new benefactors have outfitted him with something which has a biometric detector or whatever, and it goes off with when he sees Peter Parker. So the Scorpion's been sent to find Peter Parker, and then well, of course, Peter does heroic Spider-Man things without anybody knowing that he's Spider-Man, stops the Scorpion. He gets the job, goes home to Aunt May, brags to Aunt May that he got the job, and, and everybody is happy, and there was much rejoicing. Yay! So we have two backup stories then. And backup story number one shows the Scorpion getting his upgrade, and there's this mysterious figure with glowing eyes, who's given the Scorpion his upgrade and says, "Serve us well." And the thing is, though, it almost reminds you of Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man #1, because I don't know if Mysterio got an upgrade or whatever, but anyway, Mysterio's brought into it, and this mysterious figure, which is Caterpillar Dude, this mysterious figure implies that he's the one that brought Mysterio back from the dead or whatever. But whether intentionally or not, maybe it was unintentionally, but Nick Spencer's #1 almost heralds back to that Amazing #1 by bringing back an old foe, with the and with the mysterious character we don't know anything about yet. But as this mysterious character I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, is it Doc Ock, if I remember correctly, or who was it?
No. See, fortunately, I'm going to let you spoil this one, and like the time that you tried to spoil Amazing 156. With
I don't remember
Doc
that.
Ock being the Vagrant. You don't remember that?
Oh, yeah, I do now. Okay.
You yelled at me. You said it's a 30-year-old spoiler, you bastard. But anyway, so no. This is the thing. I mean, I remember when Brad said he wanted to try to make like Spider History a half an hour or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like, oh no, not going to be able to do it.
But real quick, you don't have to give me who is it?
Anyway, but see, no, I have to tell you. I mean, the thing is, this nuclear explosion killed a whole bunch of people except a handful. Okay. And in chapter 1, #1, you see that Doc Ock has his assistant, which is a woman named Christine. She's very prominently featured, which didn't mean anything then, but now it's like, oh, it makes sense. Well, anyway, it turns out that the mysterious figure is Captain Power.
Oh God, I forgot
which is
about
a
Captain Power.
Superman knockoff. But Captain Power is actually this Christine
Oh.
person who transformed herself into a man, Captain Power.
Oh,
And
I
Captain
forgot
Power
about that.
was hunting the survivors of that nuclear accident. So anyway, the backup story number one sets that up, the Scorpion and his mysterious benefactor up, and then backup story number two is, called The Powers of Spider-Man. And basically what that is that's trying to, get everybody on board with the new origin as Peter goes into the attic, I think, and looks through some things and remembers that accident at Dr. Octopus's lab.
Yeah.
So that was a big sell job to try to buy us.
Not seen in 20 years. Captain Power. I forgot about that. Okay.
And not missed either.
No.
So
you want to do Peter Parker's Spider-Man 1 now?
Oh, absolutely. And then we'll
Cool.
go into Peter Parker Spider-Man number one. Now, let's see here.
By the way, the Dynamic Forces cover is one of my all-time favorite covers. It's Romita Jr. with Spider-Man in the rain, and it's my avatar on the message board, has been for years, and inks by Romita Sr. And that is one of it's probably top 2 favorite Spider-Man images of all time.
That's been your avatar on the boards, I think, since I've been at Crawl Space, which is like
I haven't changed it, and you haven't changed your Burt Reynolds either.
Well, the only thing that's not true. I changed it and I made it into a GIF file.
Oh, okay.
Of him laughing. It used to be just him doing, Bandit doing this, and now it's actually like him laughing in the hammock.
That. Yeah, I've had that.
Still the Bandit though.
Yeah, they call you the Bandit.
Rest in peace, Bert.
No doubt.
It's been a long year. It's been a long year for old celebrities.
Hadn't it though?
Yep. All right. Peter Parker number one. All right. So anyway, Peter is busy taking pictures at this. See, because the Ranger is being busted out of prison. The Ranger, a new character you've never heard of.
Okay.
And Peter is taking pictures of it. Let's see here. I want to make sure. Okay, yeah, and then the new Spider-Man shows up.
Does she have curves?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. The thing is, it turned out that this new Spider-Man was Maddie Franklin, who participated in the Gathering of Five ceremony and later became J. Jonah Jameson's adopted daughter. But Maddie Franklin was a 15-year-old girl who then John Byrne decided to change her to Spider-Woman and start dressing her very provocatively. And had her friend kissing Peter Parker on the cover of an Amazing Spider-Man.
And then she was and Bendis had the character raped and abducted in Alias.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this character.
And then finally killed. She was killed off by the Kravinoff family in the Grim Hunt.
Yeah. So, who was it that wrote that? Because I remember at the time I was like, "Wow, how snuff film is this?" Because she went off without a fight or anything. It was
that Kelly?
It may have been. It was one of the.
I thought it was either Kelly or Wade. I don't know, but
it was. I remember hating it at the time. I mean, like really hating it. I mean, she's just like, "Okay, I guess I'm dead here. I guess I'll go off, and you can just kill me." And I was like, "The hell." I mean, it's like I never minded the character. I hated what was done with the character.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, overall in the character's history.
Grim Hunt was, great covers actually, but a ghastly story, a very ghastly, ugly story.
And you had Spider-Man pulling that one girl's face off.
Well, she deserved it.
Yeah, she deserved it, but that's not Spider-Man, dude. It's not.
Well, he did the same thing to Norman once, where he adhered.
I know, but it's just not. I don't like it when Peter gets tortury. It just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah,
I don't know. It depends on if they deserve it or whatever. You're starting to sound a little bit like Jerry Conway. Who doesn't
don't want the skulls. Yeah,
who doesn't want the cops having the skulls. So
of the Punisher. Yeah.
So anyway, this big story's going on because this is the intro of the Senator Ward story. Remember Senator Ward? The most boring. Anyway, Senator Ward is this prominent politician who everybody thinks is going to be president or whatever, and he's clean as a whistle, squeaky clean, an honest, incorruptible guy. Like I said, probably going to be president, but the Ranger's got a problem with him. The Ranger is after him, but the new Spider-Man comes and fights the Ranger, and Ward gets away, but then Peter. Mary Jane is flying in then from one of her modeling gigs, and in another moment that doesn't quite see. Here's another thing: Peter and Mary Jane's relationship, for years, their dialogue has been cringeworthy, and I honestly wonder if a lot of the people who've written their dialogue were married. Because,
by the way, look at this panel. I have it up on my iPad right now. Look at the embrace right there. Come here, Tiger. I've missed you big time.
That I honestly, I don't see Mary Jane do it. I don't see a lot of people doing that in an airport, to be honest.
I've seen some shit go down in airports.
Oh yeah.
What have you seen, George? I'm curious now.
No, this is this is a family show. I've seen things in airports.
See, bro. Mary Jane is also foreshadowing big time. She just said the big time.
I have seen some things.
Oh, that sounds like De Niro on Taxi Driver. I heard things.
Didn't you drink with the Kingpin voice actor in an airport bar, or am I making that up?
Not in an airport bar, in an LA bar across from the
LA
bar, up in the Hollywood Hills. There's like a Holiday Inn there next to like the 101 freeway, and we got smashed.
Oh wow.
And we got smashed. I remember we were there. It was me and him drinking. He came up, drove home. By the way, he drove home stone drunk.
Ooh.
I walked like across the street,
and you were
my hotel, and I was out there visiting Hero Realm Girl, JR.
Oh yeah,
yep. Yeah. That's the whole reason I was out there, and then I remember I was
Lee Brown,
right? Yeah, and I was hanging out with him, getting drunk with him, listening to his stories, none of which I remember because we were both smashed, and and we were talking to this one chick that I was also kind of hitting on at the time, and wound up waking up, like when I woke up the next day, I like had her headshot, and I was, because everyone has one in LA, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. I got something to take home. Interesting evening, and I didn't know that he was actually the voice of the Kingpin until until you guys brought it up on the crawl space one night we were talking about it, and then I was like, wait, I got drunk with that guy.
Enigma says Brad wants to keep this under half an hour and then proceeds to sidetrack us all down.
This is why I said we needed to keep, because Brad originally was like, we need to do 3 histories and 3 Spider-Man fight nights, and I was like, there's no way. What are you talking about? What?
But anyway, I mean, George is the same guy who goes into video stores and asks the girl behind the counter if they have any superhero porn movies, and then he reviews them for the podcast. So
I'd forgotten who also picked Spider-Man up at the airport. It's Jill Stacy.
Jill Stacy is there. Jill Stacy is there. And Jill Stacy finds her in that first year, 18 months of stories. Jill Stacy finds herself in a lot of places that Jill Stacy is not supposed to be. Going to the Daily Bugle, going to Peter's apartment, falling down with Peter hanging posters or something. Just all kind. She might as you could see the seeds being set for Mary Jane the marriage either going away or Mary Jane dying and Jill Stacy being the new girlfriend, and it was just all awkward, and none of it rang true, none of it rang as honest storytelling. Senator Ward, of course, we know he's a bad dude because the Ranger said he was, and then Senator Ward's TV talks to him during the night and says, oh, you killed all these people, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so that's pretty well the end of Peter Parker Spider-Man #1. Yeah. Then there's a backup story, which is just a real lame, sappy Uncle Ben story, where the power goes out in Forest Hills and all the kids cry, and Uncle Ben has a little light, and all the kids gravitate to him and they worship him.
Forgot about that
story, but it's the thing is, I really haven't done just how awful this start was, because it only got worse. But like I said, it's just none of it rang true of true honest. It was all agenda driven. Bring back Aunt May. Make sure she doesn't know Peter Spider-Man. Take her back to the hating Spider-Man days. Needs her medication. just all, stuff like that.
One thing we also didn't mention, this was some of the beginnings of variant covers that we hadn't seen. To this day it's common. We saw a variant cover on the Wedding Annual. I don't remember seeing variant covers before this. There were 3 variant covers for this #1 issue. You've got the regular, you've got what's called the Sunburst cover, where there's a giant sun and there's an image of Spider-Man or something in the front. And then Dynamic Forces did that one cover I was talking about. So 3 different versions of this.
It may have been the first time that Marvel was really getting on board with it, but Image had been whoring out variant covers years before that.
Right. Well, Marvel had some variant covers too. I mean, Amazing Spider-Man #400 had that variant that it was like a gatefold tombstone or whatever.
No, I'm talking about variants as multiple different types of covers for the same issue. Those were like holograms and foil. I don't think there were different versions like there were with this one. So. All right, anyway. Another #1 came out then 20 years ago. Web Spinners #1 with one of the worst, ugliest covers I've ever seen.
One of the worst, ugliest covers, and some of the worst art you've ever seen as well.
Yeah, awful.
Web Spinners was an idea that it would tell untold tales of Spider-Man, but scattershot throughout Spider-Man's history. It wouldn't be like the Untold Tales of Spider-Man that Kurt Busiek did when they made Ben Reilly the real Spider-Man, and so they decided to, since Ben Reilly was Peter Parker, they decided to have Untold Tales of Spider-Man starting back at high school when old new Peter Parker stories, whatever. But Web Spinners was going to be anytime throughout Spider-Man's history, and this first one took place around right after issue number 38. The guy called Joe storyline, and apparently right before the Green Goblin reveal. So it was in that period of time, and I believe this was written by was this DeMatteis?
Yeah, well, it was.
Yeah, that explains the approach to Mysterio. So basically, the story opens with an older Peter Parker standing in front of the Aunt May's Forest Hills house, which now looks like it's been in a slum with busted windows. I mean, it looks like a crack house.
You sound like I smoke, JR.
Yeah, well, where I since medical marijuana is going to be illegal, or is going to be legal here in Ohio, I'm starting to fake all kinds of illnesses so I can be treated with it. Anyway, so excuse me. So anyway, so Peter, we tried to build this. DeMatteis tries to build this parallel between Peter Parker and Quentin Beck, because Mysterio's the villain, and so Peter, we see Peter trying to make some webbing, and it blows up, and Aunt May comes in, and Aunt May is worried and starts fussing over him and babying him, and Peter is just feeling humiliated, and so then we go to Quentin Beck, another person who's feeling humiliated, and Beck is trying to get a job, because he's a criminal, so he's having a hard time getting a job, and we're all supposed to feel sorry for him, and then we're all supposed to feel sorry for him because his old man was a bum, and who didn't appreciate his gift for the theatric and special effects and things of that nature, and Peter and Beck unknowingly go to the same movie house to watch the 1933 King Kong movie, and they start to bond over Willis O'Brien's animatronic King Kong, and but anyway, it's part of DeMatteis's idea that criminals aren't criminals because some of them are simply evil, bad, narcissistic, selfish, self-centered, lazy, trying to take the easy way out. No. There's always something disturbing, and make you want to be. No, Mysterio's a bad guy. Come on, he's a guy with a fishbowl, and he comes up with goofy ass illusions and stuff like that. Don't make him bond with Peter Parker. That's just creepy. Particularly since Peter's only supposed to be 17 or 18 at this time.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Mysterio then hatches a plot which just gets started. Apparently, it comes over the news that J. Jonah Jameson has died. And really what it is, it's Mysterio has kidnapped Jonah and put Jonah in this illusion that Jonah's in hell. Which actually is kind of funny because Jonah says, "I want my lawyer," and one of the little demons says, "Don't worry, in 2 years he'll be here with you," which actually was a rather clever line. But this was a 3-part tale. But some of the worst art. And an old girlfriend of Quentin Beck shows up, and it just, yeah, this wasn't a very promising story.
Michael Zulli was on art, and I haven't heard of him since. But the issue wasn't a total wash. The backup was better than the front end.
Yeah, the backup was supposedly Peter's last night with Gwen Stacy.
No, I thought it was the first kiss.
That's what I mean. It was his last night with Gwen Stacy.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
I think it was like last kiss or last night or something like that.
I got it. Yeah, that's right.
Let's see here. Using the magic of Marvel Unlimited. Which
you got that too?
Oh, yeah, I got Marvel.
You got it right here. It's got John Romita Sr. art, which you can't go wrong with that.
No, you can't. Oh, speaking of art, hang on a second. Whoa. There's this awful drawing of Peter Parker that I've got to show everybody. But
is it by Zulli?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Here, I think this is it. Is this the panel?
Oh,
is this it? Because is that it?
No, that's the older. Well, that's an awful older Peter Parker, but this is awful younger Peter Parker. If you can see.
Oh gosh, let me see that panel.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's ugly.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like one of the Walking Dead. You know, like the skin started to recede around his eyes.
Check out J. Jonah Jameson right here. Check that out. Does that look like JJ?
Looks like JJ having a vision from heaven or something.
Oh my gosh, that's some bad art.
But anyway, the backup story was Peter's last night with Gwen. So
I like that.
It was drawn by John Romita Sr. So that somewhat redeemed it. But Web Spinners was another failed experiment. It only lasted about 18 months. But it did give us one great. But it was significant though. It was Paul Jenkins's dry run for 3 issues. He did a Chameleon story. That was his dry run before taking over Peter Parker as the monthly writer.
So the last kiss between Gwen Stacy and Peter was on a horse and buggy carriage in Central Park. Is that what I'm getting from this? Looks like it.
Yeah, probably. They were probably being cruel to animals because that's it's.
If I remember correctly, the 2 storylines that I did like from Web Spinners, it was one that backup there, and like you said, Jenkins'
Chameleon story. That was a really good, really creepy Chameleon story. It really was. And then there was actually a Joe Kelly story, which actually pretty good. It was about prom night.
And I like the was it DeFalco and Friends did the Silver Sable and Sinister Syndicate? Did DeFalco write that one? Let me look.
I don't know.
Yep, they did. Here's the cover of it, which is a black suited Spider-Man against the Sinister Syndicate. And looking straight from the 80s. So I thought that was a good, fun story. So, all right. You want to talk about anything else that came out this month? One
more thing real quick here.
Okay.
Chapter 1, number 3 came out. And really all you need to know about that is that it's a takeoff of the origin. I mean, not the origin, because that wasn't done until Stern 200 issues later. But the original Amazing 2 had done the Terrible Tinkerer and the Vulture in 2 separate, unrelated stories. Had nothing to do with each other. Well, John Byrne, in his infinite wisdom, decided to have the Tinkerer working for the Vulture at that time. The original Tinkerer story was that he was helping aliens. Well, no, the original Tinkerer story was that he was an alien himself, disguised as a human, and helping these other aliens. They were planting listening devices in the radios of various important people or whatever, and they were going to spy on the country, and they were going to conquer the earth and something like that, but Spider-Man beat him back. And apparently a dozen or more years later, Len Wein said, that was a pretty stupid ass idea. And so he said, well, none of those guys were aliens. It was all fake. And then Stern, I believe it was Stern, later said that Quentin Beck was one of those aliens. So anyway, that was a completely separate story. And then the second story was the Vulture stealing diamonds and things like that. Well, Byrne decided to combine the 2 and have where the aliens came in, I don't know, but the Tinker was putting these tracers so that the Vulture could eavesdrop on like diamond shipments and see when there were diamond shipments or whatever. So, which absolutely added nothing to the story. It made absolutely no sense. And Byrne drew the Vulture with like a little tuxedo tie, a little tuxedo suit or something like that. Just one of those odd little revisions he made to characters that had absolutely no relevance and didn't survive him.
Another thing that I remember about Web Spinners is in issue 13, they introduced the Spider-Man Unlimited costume, which was in that awful cartoon that lasted like 12 issues. But also during January 1999, Spider-Girl #4 came out. Slingers #2 came out. And 2 issues of Spider-Man the Manga, 25 and 26. Thank you to spiderfan.org for helping with us with this research on this part. All right, was this a good month for Spider-Man, JR?
No, not at all. Not at all. It was a historic month, but not a good month. Just like when Ayatollah Khomeini or Joseph Stalin is the Times Man of the Year. I mean, it's not. It wasn't because they were good. It was just because they were notable.
What would you, in hindsight, 20 years later, what would you give grades for those 3 issues?
Oh, definitely D's. I mean, I wouldn't have given them F's because they didn't personally offend me, which is the criteria for my F score. But no, like I said, they just were very, very, they were just very awkward, and you just knew that things weren't going to go right. And really, the storyline, I mean, you knew that you were being fed subplots that weren't going to go anywhere, because the Senator Ward thing lasted 2 years, and basically the editors, I think Ralph Macchio took over as editor by that time, and he had to promise, yes, the storyline is going to come to an end, really. And it was also so bad that Eric Larson basically admitted that he phoned in his artwork because the story was so boring.
I remember that.
And it had like a Poochie D ending. From like The Simpsons. It was like suddenly Senator Ward was an alien and then just went away.
Yeah. He got an alien pathogen infected him, and
then bam, and then we never heard about it again.
The only Mackie Volume 2 stuff that I liked was towards the end of his run, that about 25 with the Goblin. Did you like that, JR?
Yeah,
I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I did. I did. It had its problems, but I liked it.
George, was this a good month?
I'll agree more or less with JR's assessment, but
yeah, I agree with this too.
A couple of points I want to make out real quick that are anecdotal. Number one, because we're talking about the Tinker, and we're talking about how Len Wein was like, well, this story is stupid, and while JR was talking about this, he segued very quickly, and I didn't want to interrupt him, but it made me realize, a lot of times when the original story is stupid, and there's many, oh God, that a lot of times the retcon makes it worse, because the retcon suddenly pulls it back out and tries to address the problem when the problem was probably best just ignored.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the retcon is just as bad, because it's like, oh, well, this was really this, and then it's like equally stupid.
We kind of Peter being a billionaire is kind of just better ignored, isn't it?
Yeah. And here's the thing. I mean, like, and this is, I'm hopeful for Spencer, and Spencer so far, it's kind of a mixed bag, because pretty much the last 10 years of Spider-Man going forward should not be referenced. It just, most of it should absolutely not be brought back up, not be talked about, best left unsaid. Spencer, for the most part, has done well forging his own thing, except that we keep bringing baggage in from the last 10 years. Iron Man getting referenced. Carly Cooper showing the hell up. You know what I mean? Really, the last 10 years was a complete and total, and I'm sorry for cursing, shit show. And absolutely, the quicker it's forgotten, the better.
Yeah. All right, that's a wrap on that episode. George got the last word on JR's segment. All right, are we ready for February, JR?
February, cha.
Yeah, let me.
We got
this. The one thing I'm trying to this Marvel Unlimited. I mean, it's a great resource. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, unlike a lot of other Marvel gimmicks, Marvel's
awesome.
gimmicks.
But
unless it's just me being an old man with technology, it is not a very user-friendly website. It is very difficult.
Really?
I have a hell of it, whether it be on a
tablet,
a Kindle, or the computer or whatever. I just have a dickens of a time.
What does it? what are you trying to navigate that doesn't let you?
Well, I'm for one, I'm trying to get to like I'm in the series index A to Z, and I'm trying to get to Spectacular Spider-Man, but it keeps shifting all the time, and I every time I hit on the P or whatever, then something weird ass happens.
Old man problems.
Yeah, apparently so. So anyway, yes, so we're for the most part we're ready for 1985.
All right, coming down in 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to February's Spider History with JR, also teaming up with George. Hey, fellas, what's going on?
Well, I haven't washed this shirt in a month. I wore it during last month's Spider History, and I'm still wearing it. Tide will not touch this shirt, George.
Yeah, no doubt. What's going on, George?
Oh, not much. It makes me wonder if Tide is not going to touch that shirt. What's JR doing with his Tide Pods? Eating them?
They're sitting right next to my medical marijuana.
Now, you made that joke twice in 2 months.
JR 420 Fettinger.
Oh, my gosh. All right, we are going back to 1985. That is, oh, my gosh, how many years is that? That is
34 years.
34 years ago to Amazing Spider-Man number 261, written by Tom DeFalco and Ron Frenz, the team that I love. And the Hobgoblins on the cover with Spider-Man looking beaten at the bottom. So take me through that first issue.
Yeah, this it was, this was a really good time in Amazing Spider-Man, even though Stern had just left the title. We'd had a great run with Roger Stern. And really Tom DeFalco's early issues were actually very good as well. DeFalco always had a very good grip on metaphoric grip on Spider-Man. But then apparently later he got some more responsibilities at Marvel via Jim Shooter, and then there were like a lot of substitute writers come in or whatever, and then then everything kind of fell apart. But anyway, so this was one of the last good Hobgoblin stories. This was before the whole that it just started getting silly. The whole who is a Hobgoblin started getting silly, with Flash being framed as a Hobgoblin, and then Ned Leeds turning out to be the Hobgoblin, and then Jason McIndale killing him, having him killed, and all that kind of nonsense. But anyway, the crux of this story is that the Hobgoblin, remember the Hobgoblin, who we didn't know who he was at the time, had found Norman's stash of Norman, or actually no, the robber Georgie. His name was Georgie. Stumbled on an old cache of Green Goblin, one of the Green Goblin's hideouts, and then this mysterious figure found him and found some of Norman's journals, because Norman was dead at this time. Norman was dead. And so he went around and to all other Norman's hideouts. Well, and he hadn't gone through all of Norman's journals yet. And then in a previous adventure, they were destroyed in a fire. So the Hobgoblin figured that there has to be more. Osborn has to have more hideouts. He's got to have more stuff, and I need more stuff. And so what he did was, he figured that Harry was the person who knew where it was. And so he kidnapped the Hobgoblin kidnapped Liz, and Mary Jane happened to be with Liz at the time. Remember, and Liz is like very, very pregnant at this time.
Yeah.
And so Mary Jane happened to be with her. So the Hobgoblin, or actually the Rose's men, see, the Hobgoblin has an alliance with the Rose. The Rose's men kidnap Liz and Mary Jane and take them to the Rose's hideout, where the Hobgoblin is also hiding out with a room full of his crap and things like that. So anyway, the Hobgoblin tells Harry that I've got your pregnant wife here, and you got to bring me, your father has to have more stuff, and he's got to have more books, and you got to find them for me and bring them to me. And well, Harry finally finds one book that lists all of Norman's properties. And he goes and takes it to the Hobgoblin, and the Hobgoblin then takes him to the hideout. Spider-Man follows them there. But in the interim, in the interim, the symbiote who Spider-Man shed in 258, I think, and was being held in a stasis tube or whatever at the Baxter Building headquarters, some mysterious little drone 30 years ahead of its time goes in and puts a hole in the tube, and the Venom symbiote escapes.
Refresh me. Who sent that drone? Was it Dr. Doom?
I don't remember.
George, do you remember? Because didn't Doom send the Baxter Building up into orbit? Yeah, and I think this was a precursor of Doom scoping the building.
Doom. It was Christoph as Doom, if I recall.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was Doom Jr.
Yeah. Anyway. Go ahead. By the way, when Spider-Man is swinging across the town to get to Mary Jane, I just noticed this. Look what Ron Frenz, the pose that Ron Frenz did right here. Straight up out of the 1960s Spider-Man, swinging right towards the camera. That is such a 1960s Spider-Man cartoon pose.
Earth 67 for you Spider-Verse movie fans.
Yeah, there you go. Earth 67.
So, but anyway, so Spider-Man has been keeping an eye on Harry and follows them to the Hobgoblin and the Rose's hideout. You're a big superhero, supervillain battle happens. Liz starts going into labor. Spider-Man's putting a beat down on the Hobgoblin, but the warehouse is on fire because all the Hobgoblin stuff caught on fire. And Spider-Man has to save them and let the Hobgoblin go. And then the Hobgoblin goes through the book and realizes that, well, that's all that Norman had. I'm on my own, and I'm going to be king of the world. And that's the end of issue number 261. So
yeah, it was a
good Hobgoblin story.
Solid issue, great art as usual by Friends.
This was a glory time for Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, dude,
it really was. It really was.
Right. Okay, also came out this month, JR. Let me go back. It is, you want to do Spec or Team Up?
Let's try to do Spec.
Okay.
If I can find it. Daggone it. Because I really want to,
you looking up at Marvel Unlimited?
Yeah, I'm looking it up at Marvel Unlimited. Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Oh, that's 1999 Anyway, you'll have to find it. You can probably find it quicker than I can, but we'll go to Spectacular Spider-Man number 99.
Okay. Oh, I found it. Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm pulling it up.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. That's fine. It's
okay, great.
If I remember, it's the Spot on the cover.
It's the Spot.
Yeah,
now,
there he is.
Yeah,
There's the Spot right there.
Now show us the first page of the issue.
Okay, he comes through a giant spot hole.
Go to the next page. Let's see here. Go to the next page.
Okay, there you go.
There we go. There we go. The Spot. Okay, the story opens with the Spot playing with himself. Okay.
I feel so used. You do it, making me do that.
Now, remember, boys and girls.
Oh, that's funny.
Remember, boys and girls. In this time period, the Black Cat. Well, first of all, Al Milgrom is now writing. Al Milgrom, George had talked about this was a glory era for Spider-Man when we were talking about Amazing 261. Well, for a few months prior to this, actually, it was a glory time because not only was Amazing very good, but also Spectacular was very good when Bill Mantlo was writing it. Okay, and Bill Mantlo had written the Black Cat as a slight, she was kind of she was ditzy and goofy and kind of amoral or whatever, but she wasn't stupid. And then Al Milgrom took over and basically decided to make her just an utter idiot. So
this issue is penciled by longtime Hulk penciler Herb Trimpe.
And so before this, she goes to she wants superpowers to hang out with, so she can hang out with Spider-Man. So she she goes all over the Marvel universe looking for trying to find somebody to give her powers, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, whatever. And then somebody drives by in a car and says, "Hey, little girl, do you want superpowers?" And she gets in the car with him. She gets superpowers, and it turns out that it's the Kingpin. All right. Well, the Kingpin has given her bad luck powers, which protects her in a fight, by causing everything to go wrong for the bad guys, bullets to divert or explode or them to fall through cracks or whatever. But it also, anytime anybody she spends a great deal of time around, their luck starts going bad as well. And so Spider-Man starts having little miscellaneous accidents here or there. So that's happening. And then in the very next issue, they break up. So we've got that. And then in the prior issue, scientist Jonathan Owen was trying to discover the secrets of Cloak, as in Cloak and Dagger, the secrets of his darkness. And so rather than going into Cloak's dark universe, he goes into a Spot universe, and he turns into what you saw there with Brad. So anyway, so the story opens with the Spot playing with himself.
Whoa.
You were gone. He made me hold up the panels. He goes, "What's he doing there?" He's playing with himself. Yeah. I feel abused.
But he's playing with his spots. He's, "Oh, look at these spots." And,
he's playing Twister with his body.
Basically, that's what he is. He's playing like kind of an interdimensional Twister. But anyway, but actually, this is another significant issue because for us old fans, a lot of you new people probably don't recognize. But this is the first appearance of Randy, Candy, and Bambi.
Oh, it is.
It is. Now, yeah. Now, scroll a few more.
They're right here. Is this their first panel? Right there.
Yes,
it was a Spider Jeopardy question one year. And I don't remember the answer now as to which one of them was Miss Muggins' niece, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And I don't remember which one now.
It wasn't Bambi. I think it was Randy or Candy, but I could never. But anyway, Brad, go to the previous slide and show it to me. It's where Bambi and Peter are introduced.
He runs into her pillows.
Okay. No, he's not
sorry.
there.
It was Candy. It was Candy, by the way.
There, runs into her pillows. They're moving.
Okay, go. Do the other girls get introduced?
Yeah, they're right there.
Okay. All right. There we go. Hold on that picture. Now we're gonna play a game, boys and girls. Okay. This game is JR making shit up?
Yes.
Okay. Is JR making shit up? Okay. When Peter bumps in, see, Peter is introduced to Bandy, Randy, and Candy or whatever by bumping into them awkwardly because that's just what Peter Parker does. And so what the first thing that Bambi says to Peter is when Peter bumps into her, she says, "No problem. I guess when a girl's name is Bambi, it's just natural for people to want to thump her."
You are not making that up. That is
making shit up.
Just want to thump her. Oh my gosh. That is.
It's
in 1985. That had to have been a sexual innuendo.
Oh no! Yes, that was. Yeah. Right, yeah.
And it's amazing. It's like it's. I every once in a while, I complain about where's the editors? Why aren't the editors editing? Because they're clearly not editing. Well, somebody was asleep at the switch with this one. But it's funny. I mean, because I'll pick on Byrne because I've seen him kind of say things similar to this. But a lot of comics pros like to refer to us or imply that us old fans are basically a bunch of, of man children who live in our mother's basements, and we can't outgrow our comic books and we're emotionally regressed. Well, if you want, why don't you say that about some of your peers? Because this was true. That was truly sophomoric. Yeah. That was a truly sophomore comment. But anyway, is JR making shit up? No, he wasn't. That was really in there. But anyway, so Shashan shows up. Okay. Now remember, Shashan was fetching sandwiches for Flash Thompson during this time.
Yep.
Shashan Flash is acting weird. Shashan's wondering why he's acting weird and disappearing all the time. So Peter She goes to Peter, says, you know why Flash is acting weird? And Peter says, I don't know, but I'll find out. So Peter happens to go to the Daily Bugle for, among other reasons, trying to find a job, but he runs into Betty Brant. And of course, as we know, Betty Brant is a horrible person. Thank you, Bertoni. Betty is with Flash in a knowing her way.
In a biblical sense.
They're knowing each other.
The kids these days, JR, call her side chicks. That's a side chick.
It's a what?
It's just main chick.
No. His wife is his main chick.
Oh no, yeah, because he's with. Never mind. Yeah.
Betty is his. Well, wait a minute. Yeah,
No,
he was married to Shashan. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was still married to. You're right.
Yeah,
Never mind.
that's a side chick.
So they're fooling around, and Peter alludes to it, and Betty goes, "I don't want to talk about it." I mean, it's like, just because I'm a, just because I'm a slut, I don't have to talk about it with you. But
Wow.
And then Peter follows Flash. Well, Betty was she seduced Peter when she was still married to Ned, and then she runs and tells Ned, and then Ned punches Peter in Amazing Spider-Man number 193. I mean,
and then she goes after married Flash.
Betty had some issues. That's just what the thing that got me. She seduces Peter, and then she goes and tells Ned about it. It's like, oh my God, you are a horrible person. But Bertoni was right. Bertoni was right. Chris was right. McNulty was right. I mean, but anyway, so Peter follows Flash and finds out that Flash is actually trying to get a walk-on job as an NFL quarterback. So nothing going on there. A couple of those side plots. The symbiote is lurking again, taking over bodies, trying to find Peter. The black cat is taking a milk bath and sewing a costume for Spider-Man. She's actually sewing him a new black costume, but he refuses to wear it because it gives him bad memories of the symbiote that tried to bond with him. So anyway, they're going to go attack the Kingpin. But before they get there, the Spot figures this would be a good test of his powers. So he, does the interdimensional twister and keeps punching Spidey in holes, and he punches Spidey through all these holes and starts, beating Spidey up. And then,
JR, are you saying that at this point, Spider-Man has no answer to Spot's holes?
This could be a fight club, George.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Spider-Man versus Spot's holes.
No, no, it's a complete mystery to him. It's a deep, dark cavern and completely mysterious. And speaking of, forget it. I'm going to say the Black Cat shows up, but that's different. But anyway, the Spot's had his fun with Spider-Man, and then Felicia and Spider-Man said, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't take on the Kingpin today. Maybe we should do it another day. But then they're secretly thinking to themselves, well, I'll go visit the Kingpin when the other's not around. Of course, all kinds of things are going to go wrong with that. That leads into Amazing 100, where Spider-Man and the Black Cat break up.
Do you like the Spot? Enigma says Spot is quite corny. Sam says Spot's corny. I kind of liked the Spot back in the day.
I mean, he's corny, but I mean, so's Hypno Hustler, and I mean, it's just kind of you're in for a penny. You're gonna have silly supervillains.
I remember back in the day, visually the Spot worked for me.
Yeah,
but in an actual story, no, it didn't seem to have a lot of legs there.
Yeah,
it just
he's a great fill-in villain. You got an issue, and it's like, I have Spider-Man beat up on the spot.
He's terrific to have, those moments when we flash over to the bar with No Name, and there's all these random C and D list villains, and Spot's back there playing pool or what the hell ever with the 8-ball head guy. I mean, that's perfect use for Spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Visually, as I'm looking at the cover of 100, he looks so much like the black suit. He's white and black comboed. He's just a different color scheme than the black symbiote suit, the Spot. I've never noticed that before until we just started talking about it.
And probably nobody else did either.
I did not. It took us 30 years to notice that.
Probably nobody else is going to even think about it once the broadcast is over, too.
Yeah. So. Okay, now this month is significant because Marvel Team Up 150 came out, the very last issue, well, of Volume 1, Marvel Team Up, but the main one we think about from the 70s and the 80s ended with him teaming up with the X-Men.
Well, him teaming up with some of the X-Men. That's just what it should have said. It should have said Marvel Team Up featuring Spider-Man and some of the X-Men, because you don't get the A-listers in this one. You get I guess you get the B team, because they were the they're still significant, but Colossus and Nightcrawler, but they're not like the original 5.
Real quick, does somebody have the YouTube channel playing? Because I can hear it in the back.
I'm muted on the YouTube channel.
JR, were you? Okay.
No, I'm muted too.
Okay. Nope. There it is. Maybe it's me.
Probably you. Yeah.
Nope. I'm muted.
Yeah, I'm muted on there. Yeah.
I'm hearing an echo. That's weird.
So, but Marvel Team Up 150. This is not as bad as it's a very harmless Marvel Team Up. Mostly Marvel Team Up fell into 2 categories: harmless and outright stupid. Marvel Team Up was the book that gave us the City Stealers, gave us the 2 appearances of the Man Killer.
And yet Marvel Team Up has actually had some very, very good stories, which Brad and I have covered on Fight Club before. So suck it, JR.
I thought Secret Wars was suck at JR.
Everything is suck at JR.
Everything is suck at JR. Yeah.
Here, anyway, if you go to Marvel Unlimited, you type "suck at JR," Team Up pulls up. Yeah.
So anyway, Marvel Team Up number 150. Peter Parker is broke as usual, and this is where we learn. Actually, he's hiding from Miss Muggins because Miss Muggins wants the rent, and that's where we learn that one of the 3 girls who bathe upstairs is. I'm still hearing something, but
I am too. I still hear a bad echo.
Yeah, so I'll try to talk over it. And he finds out that Mrs. Muggins is the aunt of one of the girls, and then the girls find out that he's a photographer, and one of them says, "Oh, gee, I always wanted to be a model. Will you take my picture?"
Yeah.
So he humors her and takes some pictures. But anyway, the Juggernaut is in this, and at this moment, the Juggernaut is landing in North Korea. And he goes to the castle of something or other. It's got some name with a lot of consonants and a couple of vowels. And basically he's wanting to find a gift for his best friend, White Tom Cassidy. Now back then he was called Black Tom, but see, now that's cultural appropriation because Black Tom was white, and so we can't call him Black Tom. We have to call him White Tom. So White Tom Cassidy is the Juggernaut's best friend, and so the Juggernaut wants to give him a present, and so he steals the jewel that made the Juggernaut the Juggernaut. So then he goes back to civilization and gives basically then he says all White Tom has to do is touch my jewels, and then he'll have power. Well, that's what he wants. He wants it, he wants Tom to touch the jewels. So, because then Tom will get the power of the Juggernaut. And so he does. And so Tom is also the Juggernaut, bitch. But see, White Tom only becomes kind of half a Juggernaut, and the real Juggernaut actually shrinks to half a Juggernaut. So instead of a whole Juggernaut, they're 2 half Juggernauts. Well, White Tom is pretty appalled. He says, "What? This was a crazy idea. Why? I didn't want superpowers. I didn't want to be." And so he starts fighting with the Juggernaut, and the Juggernaut gets all hurt and things like that. And they start fighting and tearing up part of New York. And Spider-Man goes there hoping to take some pictures, gets his camera smashed. The X-Men, or I should say some of the X-Men, are watching TV, and they see that the Juggernaut's there, and they go after the Juggernaut. And see, the thing is, the X-Men are being followed around by this weird redheaded chick who looks like Annie Lennox. And apparently I don't know what it is. This Rachel character first showed up in Days of Future Past, you know, she was some telepath that had survived the mutant purge or whatever when the Sentinels took over the world. For whatever reason, now she's in the present and she's doing one of those typical things. Oh, I know the future. Should I do this or affect the future? Should I have a burrito or a hamburger for lunch because that'll affect the future? You know, and she's worried about affecting the future. That's all she does is stand around and worries about affecting.
And of course, she knew that Spider-Man in the future was dead. Spider-Man had been one of the heroes killed by the Sentinels. I believe that was one of the tombstones at one point.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
And so anyway, so you have this big fight. You know, you have your typical superhero fight, supervillain fight. And the Juggernaut, since the Juggernaut's only got half his powers, they can finally rip his helmet off. But guess what? Juggy, being the intellectual giant that he is, has fooled them all. He's got another helmet under it. So anyway, but anyway, they get away. You know, see, this is the first time the Juggernaut's appeared since since Spidey let it. Yeah, since Stern's run, nothing that classic story, nothing can stop the Juggernaut, and where he sunk him in concrete. And so, you know, Spider-Man's wondering how the Juggernaut came back. And basically, the Juggernaut says, well, you're going to have to wait till Roger Stern comes back and writes Amazing before you'll get the answer to that question, which is what happened. But so anyway, White Tom and the Juggernaut get away. The X-Men and Spider-Man high five. But it's funny. Rogue, you know, steals powers. And so how Rogue helps beat them is that she touches White Tom. And here's the thing that got me. Rogue thinks in her Southern accent. You know, she just.
Can we just call him Cassidy?
Yeah.
Well, but see, they don't say the word Cassidy. They're in the whole thing, so you don't know he's Cassidy, but they just call him Black Tom. But like I said, that's cultural appropriation. You know, he's probably also got an Indian sun catcher by his dashboard too. You know, but probably he has kids who braid their hair. You know, so cultural appropriation all around. But anyway. So they get away, and the X-Men and Spider-Man high five, and then Peter finds out that all the pictures have been destroyed on his camera except the pictures of the girl, either Randy or Candy, and is like, what am I going to do with pictures of this girl? And then he goes to the Daily Bugle, and Joe Robertson says, oh my God, how could all of our pictures of beauties of the beach be ruined? And then Peter says, hey, you know, convenient. I got pictures of this chick who lives in my apartment building. And
Bambi, and I just thumped her, yeah.
and everybody lives happily ever after, and Marvel Team Up Volume 1 comes to an end. So,
wow.
And there was much
was it a good one to end on, JR?
It was an okay one to end on. I mean, it wasn't offensive. It didn't involve Hercules dragging the island of Manhattan back, and it didn't involve the Man Killer, although the Man Killer was pretty funny.
I remember I was 10 years old when this came out in 1985, and I'd never had a Spider-Man book canceled before. And so when I saw that Spider-Man walking away.
No, it's not JR's phone. I don't think. It's not that's not what's making noise.
The noise has stopped, by the way, which is weird.
It's on your end then.
On mine? Okay. When Spider-Man was walking away, I thought that was really sad in the corner box. And if I remember correctly, that's a Barry Windsor Smith cover of Spider-Man, which, with the exception of, I don't remember a Barry Windsor Smith. He did a lot of Conan. But anyway, I liked Web #1 much better than this one. What else came out this month? Secret Wars #10. You going to review that one?
No.
It's got a battered Doctor Doom. Just got beat up. Spider-Man's got his black suit in it.
Oh, was this the one where he turned the guy into lenses? Lenses.
That's right. He cut up Claw. That's right.
Turned a dude into lenses. There were alliances and shifting alliances and everything like that, and campfire scenes where they all introduced each other, and things of that nature.
Also, way fewer of those than JR would actually have you believe.
And Ben Grimm plays Patty Cake. Remember that classic moment in Secret Wars when Ben Grimm played Patty Cake?
Also, this month, Spider-Man had a pretty big appearance. Also in X-Men, Uncanny X-Men number 190 and 191. It was the Kulan Gath two-parter. Remember that?
Yeah, where he Oh no, he doesn't turn into a spider until. What man? No, he doesn't turn into a spider in this one. But
George,
yeah, he's crucified.
Did we do this on Fight
He's
Club?
crucified on an X.
Which one?
The X-Men 190, 191, Kulan Gath?
I don't think we did that on
I
Fight Club.
thought we've talked about this one before.
We've talked about Kulan Gath before on
Yeah.
the podcast. I don't know that we did it in a Fight Club.
I remember Spider-Man being a big part of that storyline in X-Men.
Yeah, he's the only one apparently who was immune to the spells that Gath cast. That I guess turns New York back to the Hyborian age.
Right.
And
There's been a couple of times when Mary Jane has turned into Red Sonja.
Yeah. I
They
remember
turned
that.
into Red Sonja, and yeah, that's right. She's done it twice. She did it in Marvel Team Up number 75, which
And then
is
she
no
did it
longer
in that
in that 5 issue miniseries.
that miniseries, which also had Venom in it.
Yeah, that was kind of an odd one.
Yeah.
So the question was February 85 a good month, JR?
Yeah, it was a fairly good month. I mean, it was
Good Hobgoblin.
You had a good Hobgoblin story, which kind of peeled another onion back on the Hobgoblin, the layer of who he was, because he recognizes Mary Jane. He makes a reference and he calls her by name, and Mary Jane goes, "He knows who I am." Well, which is kind of ironic because by this time Tom DeFalco was writing Amazing, and DeFalco in an interview has said that when he did the Hobgoblin, he was going to do the Hobgoblin reveal eventually, and before he got fired, but the Hobgoblin was going to be Richard Fisk, and the Rose was going to be Roderick Kingsley. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. So how does if Richard Fisk is a Hobgoblin, how does he know Mary Jane? Because obviously it made perfect sense for Roddy Kingsley to know Mary Jane because Mary Jane's worked for him. So that was kind of a little odd. It was like, well, how would Richard Fisk know who Mary Jane Watson was? But anyway,
Mary Jane was on a soap opera back then, wasn't she?
She wasn't. No, she wasn't on a soap opera.
This is before Secret Hospital.
Yeah, this was before Secret Hospital. Yeah, she got married, and then around the time they got married, she got on the Secret Hospital. I think after her modeling gig, she was a famous supermodel because she couldn't get another job. And then Jonathan Caesar became infatuated with her, and then he wound up, stealing all their money and locking them out of their apartment or whatever. And then she got a job as a soap opera actress.
All right, George, was this a good month in Spider history?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I liked all 3 issues actually a lot.
In retrospect, that last issue of Team Up is not one of my favorites. But I remember at the time I liked it.
I did
liked
too.
it a lot. Yeah, at the time.
I think I had to order that one from Mile High Comics back in the day because I couldn't find it on the newsstand. I remember that's probably one of the very first comics I mailed off for.
That's back when I was getting the subscription through Mile High.
You remember what it was called? The subscription service? It was an acronym. It was called NICE, New Issue Comic Service. I had NICE also.
I don't remember. All I knew is that it made me feel like my dad because like Mile High shipped them in like these plain brown boxes, and that's how my dad got his porn.
Oh God!
It came in plain nondescript packaging.
Well, we're ending there. Huh?
And now we get our porn, the same way we get our comics still by the internet.
Oh, I think I might edit that out.
You're not going to edit it.
All right. Or
Speaking of Mile High Comics, I have been
editing
Mile High Comics in Denver.
I want to go there. I've seen tours of the facility. It looks so cool. All right. That is a wrap on that one. Let me pull up Amazing. We're going to do Fight Club now. Which one do you want? You want to do the earlier Amazing issue?
Yeah, we'll start with 121.
Okay. No, not 121. 125, I think.
Yeah, 125. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, crud. Here I was looking forward to interrupting again because that's a Green Goblin issue. Now you're just going to do the Power Records Man Wolf.
Oh, you mentioned it before I could. Oh, hold on. Let me find Amazing. Reading lists. You know what's weird, JR?
What, three men in their 40s and 50s talking about Spider-Man?
In order to find Amazing Spider-Man, on Unlimited, you have to type in the Amazing Spider-Man. I just find that weird. And I had been typing in Amazing Spider-Man. It just doesn't pull up. All right. Is it 125, 26, or 124, 25?
125. Not 124 and 125. 125.
125. Well, 124 has a little bit of a fight with the Man-Wolf. Do you just want to do the fight?
That's why we're covering 125, because 125 is an all Man-Wolf fight. The entire issue is him beating the hell out of Man-Wolf. That's why we don't cover 124, which has it for like a couple of pages. That's why I was very specific. ASM 125.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Aye. Damn.
You want to just cover 124? Well, no, because I didn't prepare anything for 124. Because it's a tiny ass fight.
All right, we ready?
You had one job, Douglas.
I've got it. It's right here. Okay. Coming down in 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers. Welcome to our first Friday night fight of 2019 with George. George, we're going back to 1973, October 1st, 1973, according to Marvel Unlimited, for Amazing Spider-Man number 125. Oh, yeah, we've got JR here, too.
Yes, back to October to 125, not to September and 124.
Sorry. The cover has the Man-Wolf smacking Spider-Man away. Really big thump. So there you go. Take me through it. Take me through this fight, George.
All right, this is by Jerry Conway, and this was Ross Andrews' first issue of Amazing.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yes, it's one of the reasons I picked the issue, aside from the fight where you have a hero and villain beating the piss out of one another. This was Ross Andrews' first, and I believe the previous issue was Gil Kane's last.
Ah.
But I like both of those pencilers on Amazing Spider-Man. I always have. There was a tiny little fragment. This isn't the first time Spider-Man fought Man-Wolf. The first time was in 124, and it was very brief. Here in 125, Spider-Man is out looking, and I mean the issue, bam, starts off with a fight.
Yeah, dude. That's how you do it.
That's why we pick it. Starts off with a fight with Man-Wolf leaping towards Spider-Man in the rain, and Spider-Man senses going off. He's able to, to get up on his feet. I'm doing Kirby hands back like I'm wrestling. I don't know what that is. But they're fighting on like a rooftop. Man-Wolf lunges at Peter or at Spidey. They both fall off. Spider-Man saves himself with the web. Man-Wolf lands like it's no problem.
Yeah.
Man-Wolf's like,
he's a cat. He's a cat. Lands on his feet.
Long fall, don't care, right? And they land on the street, and Spider-Man actually, swings away and says, hey, I'll see you real soon. And Man-Wolf's just kind of on the street, like, what are we going to do this, or what's going on? Spider-Man swings back around and comes at him, and gets the jump on him, because he doesn't have Man-Wolf sense. He doesn't have wolf sense, right? And Spider-Man comes back around and just clobbers him, like a swinging down kick. It's really good. And Spider-Man, this is one of those times where Spider-Man kind of gets to explore the space on hitting stuff. Like he doesn't always get to do that. Some people he's got to pull his punches with, or he can't give them 100%. Man-Wolf, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to hit you a lot.
I just lost my blonde girlfriend a couple issues earlier. I'm
newly single, and I'd like to just beat the piss out of someone.
I'm newly single. I'd like to mingle with your feet.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. I'm giving a foot to the face is what I meant.
I kept thinking a lot about the first fight he had after Gwen's death. You remember that one, Brad?
Luke Cage. We covered that.
Yeah, we covered that. And I remember talking about the time how cathartic it was probably for Peter to be able to take his frustration out on something, because he could clobber Luke Cage and not have to hold back. And so here you get a little bit more of that, where he's not. It feels like he's not really pulling his punches against Man-Wolf, because giant werewolf, as far as he knows.
Yeah.
And I like it in that Marvel had not one but two werewolf characters. Really. Although John Jameson is not
Jack Russell.
Jack Russell, yeah.
Yeah.
John Jameson is not a werewolf in the truest sense of the form.
Yeah, he's from the moon.
Yeah. But still, he is a werewolf-like type creature. And this was also a kick, because the first Spider-Man comic I ever read when I was 3, or I say read, was given at the age of 3, was an issue that had like Spider-Man, Man-Wolf, and Frankenstein in it. And I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Oh, that's a team up.
Yeah, that was in Team Up. Yeah.
Yeah, like the 30s or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Spider-Man comes down, kicks him, gets him in like one of these like leg wrestling things where he like flips him over, like by his head and everything,
Yeah.
And he notices the pendant around Man-Wolf's neck. And he's like, this is oddly familiar. There's a reason for that. And so I mean, like he's trying to, trying to incapacitate the Man-Wolf, not happening. Man-Wolf still very much in the fight, up and fighting. But then the Man-Wolf and Spider-Man both notice that the moon is setting. Like the moon is going down, right? And then suddenly Man-Wolf's like, peace, I'm out of here. And he slashes Spider-Man across the chest, and he gets the hell, he goes the hell on. And Spider-Man's like down. He's like, oh my God, we got the stars, we got the, ooh, things aren't right, maybe. Yeah. Normally this is when Spider-Man has a concussion or something, but he doesn't have a concussion here. He's just been, scratched. Now he's like, great, I've been scratched by a werewolf. I'm probably going to freak the hell out. And he passes out on his bed.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, and when we do fight clubs, when we do Friday night fights, we give you a little bit of context as to what else is going on, but we really don't get into that because that's more of the realm for JR to make things up with on Spider-Man history. So, but elsewhere, this is pretty much the end of Harry and Liz, which is fine because it's been pretty clear since 121, and even before that, really, that Mary Jane really only wants Peter. She's not really, sorry, Harry, she's just not that into you.
You mean it's the end of Harry and Mary Jane?
What'd I say?
You said Liz, but I know what you meant.
Well, it was also the end of MJ and Liz.
Yeah. That was an alternate.
But no, yeah, it's pretty much the end of Harry and Mary Jane. And elsewhere, you've got Jonah finding his son, John Jameson, famous astronaut who just also happens to be the Man-Wolf. We recount John's story about how he got sent into space, and of course, I think the last time we saw John Jameson was when Spider-Man saved him previously.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
And
JR
issue 1.
No, he actually appeared in that the Mary Jane introduction issue number 142. He got exposed to some spores or something, and he got big or whatever. So
that's what I'm thinking about. Okay.
So have we not?
He was also in number 1 as well. But
did we not see John Jameson from issue 1 to 142?
No, issue 1 to issue 42, and then I think this 2-parter right here. I think.
Oh, the Face It Tiger 42 with the Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, me.
Yeah, I think he was the the Rhino was in 43. I think though, because Mary Jane suggested that Peter take him there to the scene or whatever, and he said this is the kind of girl Spider-Man needs.
Yeah.
And so he goes into a little bit about how he found the strange, red colored rock on the moon, got it back to Earth, and the scientists are like, well, this doesn't appear anything wrong with this. Here, take it. Which is not a thing that happens with moon rocks, by the way. No.
Wear it as a pendant, dude. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so he wears it as a necklace, which is like the ultimate chick magnet. Like all a girl has to do is like, oh, that's an interesting necklace. And he goes, that's right, baby. That's from the moon. Right?
You want to see these rocks?
Some dudes back then wore like gold chains. Some of them had like a tiger claw necklace or a shark tooth necklace. John Jameson wears a moon rock.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm gonna send you to space.
That's
a
pickup line. The only thing he's missing is a couple of little moon rocks as earrings, and he'll be all set for the hippie scene.
To give you a little history of John Jameson, he should have got the moon rock. And instead of a diamond, he cut it up and put it on a wedding ring and given it to Jennifer Walters, who is the She-Hulk, who he eventually married, and she became Jennifer Jameson, aka,
Jennifer he actually has a fiance in this issue, and I don't remember whatever happened to her after this. Do you?
She just disappeared.
She disappeared, and he went off and married She-Hulk.
Well, he get catapulted into an alternative universe or whatever, and Richard Rory from Man-Thing found him, and oh boy. He was what, Star Wolf or something?
Star Wolf, that's right.
Star Wolf, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. And he had like the bow and the sword and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, boy, that's old school right there. Jesus. All right, so back to the issue. You get a brief origin about what's happening with him in the Independent and him becoming a giant werewolf and everything. And and so then we flash forward 7 hours when go ahead. I'm sorry.
By the way, Adam in YouTube chat says John Jameson, 70s pimp.
Kinda.
Straight up, man.
Kinda, yeah. And so then, we flash forward back to Peter. Peter is just waking up and he heads over to the Daily Bugle. Of course, this is many hours since, Jonah and John Jameson and their talk and Jonah finding out about the pendant and everything. Spider-Man is going to go in and try to ask Robbie for a favor. And as soon as he gets to the Daily Bugle and gets inside Spider-Man's office, Jonah busts in with the cops. How Jonah knows he's there, I don't know. But Jonah busts in with the cops, and the cops flood Joe's office with tear gas.
That's
While
a bad
Joe's still in it.
Yeah, I'm about to say, sucks to be Joe Robertson. Spider-Man crashes out the window, and Joe's like, thanks, pal. Thanks, Spidey. I take back every good thing I've ever said to you, about you to Jonah. You're actually a prick.
At that point, he should have just yelled, Spider-Man's Peter Parker. I've had it. I can't trash my office.
Right? So Spider-Man dives out the window, right? And then lands in some trash. And it's very ignominious, and winds up going back home. Jonah's like, blah, 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 I'll get Spider-Man. And then, Spider-Man's laying in Peter's laying in a futon talking to Mary Jane, and who's, basically realized, hey, Peter Parker's the only man for me. And she shows up and Peter's like, I'm not really feeling it right now because, I'm having some issues. And then this is really when we're starting to see, Mary Jane. There was some transitioning between the person that Mary Jane was and the person that Mary Jane was today.
Yeah.
We saw the start of it really in 121?
Where she shuts the
door.
door.
She shuts the door.
Yeah.
But there were still moments when Mary Jane was very self-centered and very,
she's a kid.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, she's a very, very young woman. So her and Peter, kind of not really a fight, but she's like, look, I'll call you back when you're not a downer. And Spider-Man's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Hopefully I haven't been murdered by a effing werewolf, but okay.
Yeah.
Right. And meanwhile, we flash forward to, we get a brief glimpse of Christine Saunders. That's John Jameson's fiance who disappeared, who apparently went back to space because her people needed her. And Jonah and John are kind of arguing up in his apartment while she's, trying to get buzzed in. And then he just wolfs out and, just pimp slaps Jonah across the room.
You don't want to do that to your dad.
No. There's a lot of, unresolved issues. Maybe he's like, you know what? Here's for grounding me that one time. Smack, And Moonwolf escapes up through the up to the skylight, happens upon what looks like some, random junkie with a switchblade. And kind of rips into him a little bit, and then the fiance pulls up in her old roadster. It's like she borrowed Jean DeWolf's car.
Her name's Christine. It looks like.
Yeah, I said that earlier.
Christine. Oh, I missed it. Yeah,
I literally said it like 5 minutes ago.
Sorry,
less than that. And do you even listen to me, Brad?
Well, he's been sick. He's been sick, George. You have some,
evidently, I'm not listening to the questions on the YouTube chat too. They say I'm not listening to questions, but feel free to ask. Okay.
Well, we can't really stop and answer questions, right?
That's true. We're getting through the Fight Club. Go ahead.
I got YouTube chat. I explained this earlier. When we're doing Spider History and Friday Night Fights, we can't just always break off to answer random questions.
How about the end? We'll answer. You can ask away. Let's get through.
After we covered these issues, sure, we'll hang around and answer some random questions for you. But right now, we've got to stay focused and move forward. All right. So, Spider-Man, back out on patrol looking for Manwolf, finally catches up to him, kicks him in the face. Manwolf, by the way, has no answer for Spider-Man's kicks. Nope. Spider-Man's kicks are to Manwolf what Stegron's tail is to Spider-Man.
Yep.
He has no answer for it. Spider-Man hits him all the time with it. But it only makes him angrier, and hair gets up on end and he starts growling at Spider-Man. Spider-Man tries to web him and Moonwolf just pulls the webbing right off.
Manwolf, not Moonwolf.
Manwolf, Moonwolf.
Moonwolf if the villain went around and mooned people and went, oh,
right? That would
be Moonwolf.
that was an issue of what the
Moonwolf.
Yeah, Manwolf.
Manwolf, yeah.
But Manwolf pulls the webbing off there. And, fun trivia.
Yeah.
And a lot of Spider-Man fans don't know this, but that's why you tune into Crawl Space. Spider-Man's webbing actually has varying degrees of strength when it's fired. When it is first fired, it is still very strong, but it is not as hard as it is like 20 to 30 seconds later.
Oh, really? It hardens over time.
JR, you probably knew this.
Well, Brad, when he said hardens over time, that distracted me.
Yeah. JR's like what, 75, 76? He doesn't have the same frame of reference for
80.
Yeah.
It's like the webbing takes a blue pill. It gets harder.
It's been a long time since JR's had to think about stuff like that.
Yeah,
so, but no,
that's what the medical marijuana is for.
As soon as he fires it, like for a brief period, it's hard, but it's not as hard as it is like after it's been exposed to air. So a lot of times it's why you're able to see like a lot of people like tear it away instantly.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, when it happens.
I get you. I never really thought about that, but I agree.
Yeah. No, I mean that's exactly how it works. I'm dropping real stuff on you right now. I mean that's just how it works. And Moonwolf is able to shred it off.
Manwolf.
I don't know why I keep doing that.
Because he's triggered by the moon.
We should just be lucky I don't call him Manwitch.
Manwitch.
Right. So Manwolf.
There you go.
tears the webbing off, and then Spider-Man and Manwolf just start going toe to toe.
Yeah, there's Yeah, here, I'll show you some images.
Brad, you and I have talked about this back, like when Romita Senior took over his pencil. There was a lot of times when Spider-Man just planted his feet and it was go time. There was no more jumping around. There was just we're doing this. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Stick, jab. I mean, it was that kind of thing.
He hits him good in the face, and this panel really is good where he gives him what is that, a right cross? That's a good shot. And but also Manwolf gives him a punch to the face right there too. So
sealed with a kiss.
Oh yeah, right in the kisser.
Right in the kisser. Yep.
But then and then it's Moon. God bless. It's Manwolf's turn to kick Spider-Man. Shut up, Brad.
I'm sorry. I'm howling with laughter about Moonwolf.
Suck it, Douglas.
So right. I've got a book too. All
right, but two of them, we're finally getting into the fist fight round of things. Manwolf kicks him, manages to get a good swing in on him.
No doubt.
But then Spider-Man is able to get behind him.
Yeah.
And kind of get the jump on him, and he tears the pendant off. Game over.
Yep.
Tears the pendant off. There's John Jameson, and a fiance with legitimate questions, and Spider-Man just walks away while Jonah's railing against him. The end.
Yeah.
Decision. Clearly Spider-Man, because God bless, the Manwolf is stuck. I hate you, Douglas.
I am just over here.
So much. I hate you like
I'm not. I should just let you say Moonwolf the whole time.
God bless.
So the decision is Spider-Man, but it was close. They went blow for blow. They went pretty well against each other.
Yeah, a pissed off Manwolf is a pretty good fight for Spider-Man. If Spider-Man hadn't torn the pendant off, this could have easily
gone another issue.
Gone on too long, like a Bendis story.
So JR talked a little bit about it. Issue 124, the one that predated it, was the Power Record. And did the Power Record just end on that cliffhanger before this?
No, the Power Record book consolidated 124 and 125, and,
Okay.
edited out a whole bunch of pages. So basically, it took half of each issue or whatever and combined it in one story.
I bet you they eliminated the Peter Parker stuff and the Harry stuff and the Mary Jane stuff. Just once it was catering to a young George in the 70s that just wanted the fight. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, when I first started reading Spider-Man, I was 3. My parents were going through a divorce. My mom started getting me Spider-Man comics, for me to have something to do. And I've talked about this, not often, but I've talked about this on the podcast. I imprinted on Peter like an older brother because I was an only child. And this is why it was always creepy for me, like whenever somebody starts lusting after Mary Jane, because I'm like, I've always looked at Mary Jane, because I started reading during this period. I always looked at Mary Jane as like an older sister.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is how little kids are. But yeah, like if there wasn't a lot of fighting in there, by God, I drew my own in, because I didn't, back then you didn't really, you're 3, you don't know what collecting is. You're like, okay, well, I'm kind of bored now. There's a lot of talking. Oh, here's a dinosaur that Spider-Man would fight if Spider-Man was fighting right now,
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So anyway.
Or here's a Marvel value stamp that I'll cut out.
Oh yeah.
I cut out my subscription at the back and mailed it in to get a monthly subscription. Oh my gosh. YouTubers, if you'd like to ask us questions, we said we would. They're talking about the.
Well, we've only done one of the fights. Do we want to stop in it, because you're going to have to edit more? And,
well, this will be.
I already know you in editing, and it's not.
No. This is the end of January, and we'll do February next. So this is a little break. Where
well, we have a guy in the chat who's like new, and and I maybe like a younger kind of guy, and he's wanting us to ask questions about the movies and about the games and things like that. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, do you want to answer those now, or you want to get through the other fight?
It's up to you. It's your show. Okay.
Here,
we'll do whatever.
We'll ask a couple questions now in between the recording of the next one. Adam talks about Draco the Dragon, which was also a power record. I like that one a lot. You remember that one, guys?
I remember that one. That was wasn't that a story on like a didn't he have a 33 1/3? That was like the little power records were. Yeah, 30 were the 45s, and then there were also 33 1/3s, which had multiple stories. But I remember the dragon one, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember it started off with 2 kids making out in a car, and they see something come down from the sky. For Drake, it was Draco. So, let's see. Any questions, YouTubers? We're going to move on if there's not.
Yeah, now's the time to ask your questions, folks.
Yep.
If you're wanting us to answer things.
By the way, I noticed, JR, in the show you were talking about, you made a Spider-Verse reference. Have you seen the film?
No.
Still nothing, huh?
No interest in seeing it.
Spencer too?
Spencer saw it. He took his girlfriend to it.
What do you think?
He liked it, but then again, it caters to his demographic.
Yeah.
Spencer took his girlfriend to it. He's growing up so damn fast. Wow.
How old is Spencer again?
He's 17.
Oh my gosh. It won the best animated picture from the Golden Globes. I mean, okay.
Yeah,
there was much rejoicing.
And George, you obviously haven't seen it.
There's no way in hell I'm going to see that.
Oh, it'd be nice if both of you saw it and you liked it. I think that'd be interesting.
It's a non-starter. It's a non-starter for me.
Yeah. It's not about Spider-Man. It's not about Spider-Man. It's about all these other people.
It's not about Spider-Man.
That is my biggest complaint. That does not have our 616 Spider-Man in it. He's not in it.
So you mean Spider-Man's not the focus, and that's your God forbid. How did you think going in that something called Spider-Verse was going to be where Peter was going to be the focus?
I expected one of the Spider-Men to be the one I love, but no.
Yeah.
All right. But I agree with Adam in YouTube chat. It was better than the comic that it was loosely based on.
I mean, we talk about dilution of the brand and things like that. So often I've got no interest in it. We don't have any questions. I guess we can.
Okay, we do. The next one is what issue again?
The next one that we're going to cover is issue 131.
That's right. The wedding. Okay.
The wedding between Dr. Octopus, and Aunt May.
Okay. All right. We're coming down in 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our February Friday Night Fight with George. Hello, George.
Hello.
And we've got JR on the line. What's going on, JR?
Hey.
And we're going back to 1974, George. April Fool's Day this came out, it looks like. Amazing Spider-Man number 131. Written by Jerry Conway and penciled by Ross Andrew.
Another Ross Andrew issue.
Yeah.
Again, one of the I'll say it again. I said it last month, and I'll say it again. I love the Gil Kane, the brief Gil Kane run, but I also love the Ross Andrew stuff.
I do too.
Always have. JR, I don't know about you. I've probably asked you before, but you're probably in the same boat. You probably like the art back then.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I mean, I'd read Spider-Man comics off and on, but I first started collecting, I mean, getting them and keeping them with issue 134. I mean, Ross Andrews' Peter Parker was my Peter Parker. You know, I mean, when the original Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man came out and it was drawn by, that doesn't look like Peter Parker. That's not Peter Parker. You know, I mean, it was always the Ross Andrew Peter Parker that was kind of the prototype for me.
Yeah. So Aunt May's getting hitched.
Yes, to Dr. Octopus, and one of the more, I think, in my book, one of the more iconic Spider-Man covers.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I mean, like if you're a Spider-Man reader and you're a comics reader and you see this in the 7-Eleven back then, which is where Brad, you and I probably would have picked this up.
Yeah.
How do you not get this?
Great looking cover. The web is right above.
I know, right?
The web.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is great. I wasn't picking up Amazing yet because I wasn't born yet. I wasn't born until 75. This came out in 74, but I read it later after I was old enough to read. But this is a classic.
Yeah, and so yeah, Spider-Man's peeking into the chapel. Aunt May's getting married to Dr. Octopus. You know, and Spider-Man's got legitimate questions.
Yeah, no doubt.
And
by the way, real quick, the guesstimate of how old Doc Ock is and how old Aunt May is, as drawn by Ross Andrew, like maybe late 40s, early 50s Doc Ock, 80-year-old Aunt May.
No, Doc Ock is not in his late 40s here. He's probably in his 50s for sure. But
50s,
no, he's
married an 80-year-old.
Presumably, yeah. I mean,
wow. Yeah, but he's trying to inherit. He's trying to get the nuclear power plant on an island she inherited from an unknown relative.
Yeah, but at the same time,
he was kind of in love with her a little bit.
He legitimately did like her, and I do like those moments when he pops up nowadays, and that's referenced.
Yeah, the Slott did it in Superior, I think. Yeah,
it was one. Yeah, it's one of the few things, and we've talked about this before. A lot of the Dr. Octopus stuff that Slott did, we actually think that he did well on, because he's, it's ostensibly he was a much bigger Dr. Octopus fan than he was a Spider-Man fan.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I like it when writers still recognize that part of the history and show out. And we talked about this, Brad, and you and I have talked about it. I know JR and I have talked about it on the show. There is a part of Otto deep down underneath the raving psychopath that he is, that is still a human being.
Yeah.
And still in some ways wants to help the Earth, believe it or not. Like he has the ability to care about people and be in love. And a lot of villains, it makes him so much more of a three-dimensional, well-layered character, not just villain, but character. So I love the moments, nowadays when Otto shows back up and there's those moments of recognition where that JMS did it as well. In his run, and it was very good, the two of them recognizing one another. So I always like that when it pops up.
Mark Millar had a good scene in Marvel Knights Spider-Man where they go into Peter's room and there's all kinds of trinkets, which all old Spider-Man fans recognize. But then there's the engagement ring, and Aunt May says, yeah, but the engagement ring for Otto Octavius, and he says, you didn't get rid of this. She says, well, that just would seem such a rude thing to do. And he goes, yeah, Otto Octavius being such a sensitive guy.
Oh, I forgot about that. Wow.
That was a clever scene.
And remember when there was when Otto became a boarder, remember?
Mm-hmm.
At
Yeah.
Aunt May's, there was like briefly almost a grudging understanding between Spider-Man and Otto
Mm-hmm.
over it, like and like Peter's like, I have to really tread lightly here because my aunt is super in love with this guy.
Yeah.
My aunt is like all about this dude. I've got to be careful about how I proceed here. And there was one point where Peter actually realized that Otto genuinely seemed to like May.
Yeah.
That it wasn't an act, that he genuinely did care for her on some level. And on that level, he was kind of like, I'm torn. Do I beat the living piss out of him, which he deserves, or do I not piss off Aunt May, who hates Spider-Man enough already?
Yeah.
Well, luckily here, before he has to bust in and try to put a stop to it, Hammerhead and his goons decide to bust in and put a stop to it. Hammerhead, of course, having had a long-standing feud with Dr. Octopus from 2 years prior, JR, or over longer than that?
It was like around issue 114, 115 when they were, warring to control crime in New York, So.
Yeah. And so Hammerhead, has come back, kind of looking for some payback on Dr. Octopus, and people are getting mowed down. Like people here who are in attendance at the wedding, and you're looking at this, and all of the attendees, by the way, are men, and I'm guessing that Dr. Octopus's goons. Otherwise, but I mean, especially on that opening splash page. I mean, one of them, the guy with the cheesy mustache, just clearly looks like he's a damn, this guy's got a rap sheet, right? I mean, look at him. He's all tiny and weaselly. He's probably got like a high pitched voice like this. Yeah. He's clearly.
I work for Doc Ock. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just all look like goons, and they're just getting mowed down when Hammerhead and his goons bust into the room. And so Dr. Octopus just goes bananas, goes berserk, as Otto is wont to do. And the tentacles come out, start smashing Hammerhead and his goons left and right while he gets Aunt May out of there. Spider-Man's just watching the whole thing, and he's actually kind of glad that Dr. Octopus is saving Aunt May and getting her out of the room.
No doubt.
This, you feel for Spider-Man here sometimes, because he wants to stop the wedding, and of course, every part of him wants to kick the crap out of Dr. Octopus, but at the same time, he's like, he's saving my aunt. I mean, what am I going to do? So, Dr. Octopus is trying to get Aunt May to safety. Spider-Man swings around, and he's trying to voice his concern about Aunt May's age, and it's cold, and she can't be exposed to shock. And Dr. Octopus, of course, goes into full auto psycho mode and starts attacking Spider-Man. Does a really good job of it, too.
Yeah, hits him right in the face.
Hits him right in the face, sends him plummeting, while Otto summons a helicopter from an underground lair, because this is how it went back in the 70s. And this is before the Owl-Octopus War, which we talked about briefly earlier while we were covering history in YouTube chat. A couple of us referenced it, which is amazing, and so just over the top and crazy.
Yeah.
But Otto summons a getaway copter, and he ushers Aunt May into the getaway copter while Hammerhead and his goons show up, and they're trying to stop the helicopter, trying to shoot it down. And Spider-Man is just like hanging out in the woods watching all this until he finally swings up on the helicopter, and is going to ride it to wherever it's going.
Would you consider that a first round?
No, because
he hits him, he's down, he's out.
He's not out. He was staggered, but he wasn't knocked unconscious. But I mean, it's only one hit.
Okay, that's one hit. I agree.
It's just one hit. It's not really a full engagement. It's just a pat. Get out of my damn way. I've got to save this wonderful old lady.
The onomatopoeia is swang. He hit the punch goes swang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so Spider-Man rides the helicopter, and they wind up in Canada on the island, which I don't think has a name, JR.
They call it the crummy Canadian island.
Well, that's what Spider-Man calls it, but that's what Hammerhead.
I don't remember having a name either.
That's what Hammerhead calls it, but it's it's just an island. It's got a breeder reactor. It's got rich uranium deposits or whatever. Dr. Octopus lands the helicopter. They get Aunt May off. Aunt May's like, "Oh my God, I'm freezing." Dr. Octopus smacks one of his handsome. He's like, "Get her a coat, or I'll have your hide." You know, and I kind of wanted to see that. I kind of wanted to see this guy not be able to find a coat, and then and then use this dude as a skin suit for Aunt May. You know, but as soon as they land, Hammerhead and his guys on this really crazy modified helicopter, you know, this is almost like a precursor for G.I. Joe in the 80s. All the stuff that Dr. Octopus and Hammerhead had, you know, and you know, they follow. Gunfire breaks out. Otto is still focused on trying to get Aunt May to safety, and now Spider-Man really gets into the fight. Spider-Man jumps in, starts taking out, you know, guys with guns, left and right, and he tries to you know, he's trying to get Aunt May, so we can just get Aunt May and just, I guess, get the hell off, find a way to get the hell off the island with Aunt May.
Right.
You know, at this point he's like, you know what, let Hammerhead and Dr. Octopus tear each other apart. I've got to take care of Aunt May. Yeah. But Dr. Octopus is not having it, man. He's like, get the hell away from my fiance.
Yep.
Get the hell out. I won't let you harm this lovely lady, even if it costs me my life, Otto says as he smacks Spider-Man across the face.
No doubt.
It's nuts. So now Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus really start fighting. You know, finally start fighting in earnest. Spider-Man webs him. Otto is able to, again, pull the webbing off.
Yeah, because it's fresh.
Because it's fresh webbing. And he grabs Spider-Man by the chest and, you know, kind of flails him around in the air, up in the air, and then back down to the ground. Spider-Man grabs a tentacle, swings Dr. Octopus around right down into like a snowbank, and then the fists come out.
Yep, here it comes.
Here come the fists. You know, 6 months in the hospital or certain death. not really in Spider-Man's case. That's what my dad used to tell me. Whenever my dad wanted to look tough, he would go 6 months in the hospital or certain death, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, Dad." Anyway, so that was how Big Watermelon Man rode.
That's
JR rolled. You know. Anyway, so Spider-Man, you know, out comes the fist, and then the double fists. You know,
the double wham.
The double. I used to love that back in the day. Whenever like a superhero would ball up their fists and, you know, do one of these, you know, like an old haymaker or something like that. I used to love that. I used to get all excited for that back in the day.
You see what he says to Ock? What you were going to do to her is a crime.
And all he wanted to do was marry her.
Yeah.
But, well, that's not true. That's not all he wanted to do.
Yeah. And he says, "Pleasant dreams, you pig."
Yeah. But I miss, you know what, looking at that, I missed that. I miss like the double fist thing, you know, hit that people used to, you don't really see it anymore, you know, or at least you don't see it in Amazing Spider-Man, but I used to see it all the time back in the day. Yeah. You know, Colossus used to do it a lot back. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
So,
Doc's out.
Dr. Octopus is out. Yeah. Dr. Octopus is knocked the hell out. Spider-Man's got Aunt May, trying to find a way to get her off the island. Octopus wakes up. He and Hammerhead are about to go at it again, this time inside the building that has the nuclear reactor.
By the way, Spider-Man flies a jet for the first time. I've never seen that.
Spider-Man gets it. And I was thinking about this because I was looking through issues trying to figure out which ones I wanted to use for this month. I almost did the one where it was the first appearance of the Spidey-Mobile.
Yeah.
And I remember looking back and I'm like, wait a minute. And then it dawned on me, it's like, Peter doesn't even have a license.
He doesn't know how to drive.
What's he going to do? You know, a cop tries to pull him over. Look, Spider-Man, you can't be driving this. I need to see your license. I don't have a license. I'm driving without a license, sir. I am a criminal right now. You know, and then the guilt that would happen, you know.
Yeah.
We'd have the floating heads of guilt, and one of them would be the Spidey-Mobile. No. Yeah. So,
but a plane. He can fly a plane, not a car.
He finds a getaway plane on the island filled with helicopters. and I don't remember seeing a landing strip for the plane, but he gets Aunt May, who's, you know, passed out by now, gets her into the plane and says, "Bingo, things are finally going my way." It figures like a place like this would have a supply plane, but it's, you know, it's luck that it's still here. And my luck's holding this cockpit's been modified, so even an idiot can pilot it.
Oh, there you go. That's convenient.
Oh, no doubt. But it's
convenient.
It's the 70s comics, and who the hell cares?
That's
That's just how it rolled. If you needed your hero to suddenly be able to fly a plane, guess what?
And I've only spent 25 cents on this issue. I believe it, or whatever it is.
So Hammerhead is facing off with Dr. Octopus, lowers the adamantium laced dome down, going to try to ram Dr. Octopus. And Dr. Octopus is like, "You idiot, we're literally standing in front of a nuclear reactor." Spider-Man flies the plane away, and then the entire island explodes.
By the way, that's the first and probably the only time my name has been an onomatopoeia. Do you see what the onomatopoeia is? Brad-a-boom.
Yeah.
Brad-a-boom.
Brad-a-boom.
It's almost like Fred Flintstone saying it, Yabba Dabba Doo, only it's Brad. Brad-a-dabba doom.
Yes. Okay. So Spider-Man's flying away with Aunt May on this private supply Learjet that suddenly he knows how to fly. The island explodes, and Aunt May wakes up on the jet, freaking the hell out. Anyway,
so over the top, but it's so fun.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yeah, I like Aunt May's 5 o'clock shadow.
She does have a 5 o'clock shadow in there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But then, back in New York, we have a closing scene between Betty and Mary Jane, where you get a little more insight into Mary Jane, because Mary Jane's talking to Betty, and she's like, I basically, she's admitting she loves Peter, and she's uncomfortable with how much she probably loves Peter.
Yeah, it's getting heavy.
Which would continue on, really. I mean, until he finally asks her to marry him, and she jets for London. Back, what was that? The late 70s, JR, early 80s,
like 140-ish, and then it.
No, well,
or is it 170s?
They first had their real big passionate kiss in issue number 143.
Yeah,
and Spider-Man, just before Spidey went to France,
in the airport, right?
Right. And Joe Robertson was sitting there with a big grin on his face. But then he asked her to marry him in like issue 182 or something a few years later.
Yeah. So, anywho, obviously, decision time. Winner clearly Spider-Man, because once he and Spider-Man were finally finding an Ernest, it was, there's a little bit of back and forth. But once Spider-Man closes in close gets in close on Dr. Octopus, Dr. Octopus can't take that many hits. Kind of got a glass jaw.
Well, he's a human, normal. He's a normal human. Just his arms make him special, and he can't take a really good hard blow to the face.
Not only is he human, the classic Otto that we remember, not the steroided up, cloned body Otto, or whatever the hell he is now.
Yeah.
Back then, but not only was he a regular human, he was also out of shape.
Yeah, he was overweight.
Kind of a doughy scientist type. And
no
so, once Spider-Man actually can get past the tentacles, getting close, pow, pow, it's over.
Yeah, he's eating a lot of clone cupcakes. He's a little doughy.
Yeah.
So, so clearly,
that's because, and that's what caused all his aches and pains in issue number 600 or whatever. Remember when he, and
all
then
the traumatic brain injuries from so many hits over the years. Yeah.
Yep. So, Decision Spider-Man, good fight. Weird issue, but a good fight.
No doubt. Would this fly in 2019, this story?
We would tear this apart.
Yeah, we would, wouldn't we?
2019, we would tear this apart. But
it's sad that we would. I don't know.
In context, here's the thing, though. In context, this was no different than all the other storytelling going on at the time.
That's true.
No, there were no different. The comics had a much different tone back then than they do now.
That's true.
And the stories, stories could be good while having moments that, you could look back on and say it's nonsensical. Of course, and in fairness, I mean,
well, this was 45 years ago.
In fairness, we can look back at this and say, well, Spider-Man is somebody who we have seen in the comic books fix a nuclear reactor in an Avengers comic. Mm-hmm. It's probably not out of the realm of possibility to figure out, that he's smart enough to figure out the basic use of a plane.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it also is.
Yeah.
But no, today we would tear that apart.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Okay, good spot to end on. Now we can take your questions, YouTubers. What would you like to ask us?
I think that guy that was all about asking questions. I think he went to the the bathroom or something.
Oh, he's in the bathroom.
I don't think he's in here anymore.
He was gone the last time we asked questions. The strawberry guy.
Yeah, the last time, we're like, okay, fine, we'll stop, we'll take your questions, and then he's gone.
Enigma says, if we paid $4 for this story today, hell no. He says it was a 20-cent comic. If I'm looking at the cover on Unlimited,
dude, if comics were $4 back in the early 70s, none of us would be here talking about it.
Oh, by the way, the next issue is 25 cents. So between April of 74 and May of 74, comics went up a nickel.
Inflation, I tell you, damn Nixon.
Okay, the question guy is back. The new guy.
Okay, Strawberry, we're ready for your questions. What would you like to ask us? Neil, hey Neil, what's up? Do you prefer pancakes or waffles?
Waffles, giant Belgian waffles.
Why? Because
I like
there's holes for the syrup?
Yeah, there's butter holes.
They're butter holes. Okay. What's your favorite comic ever made, Strawberry? I like Amazing Spider-Man a lot. No, Amazing Spider-Man, some of my favorite Amazing Spider-Man's 300, 328, where he knocks the Hulk into space. 252, 269, where he fights Star-Lord. I mean, not Star-Lords, Fire-Lord.
Fire-Lord. Where he fights Moon Lord.
He fights Moon Lord. Yeah, 400's a good one where he tells Aunt May, even though she was an actress.
Well, Aunt May tells him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. 400's good.
Or a fake Aunt May tells him.
Fake Aunt May. In the 200s era, issue 200's one of my favorites. In the 100s, what's some of my favorite 100s issues? 100's good, where he gets the extra arms. I like that kiss in the airport. You guys were just referencing that was good. The wedding issue, yeah, the annual. George hates Miles. George likes Peter Parker.
Yeah, it's not so much. Well, I take that back. George hates the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
And Miles is like the remaining remnant of the Ultimate Universe. I was never going to be a Miles fan because Miles is part of the Ultimate Universe, which I have absolutely no use for.
Yeah.
Don't give a crap about it.
JR, favorite Amazing issues? Name 2 or 3 come to mind for you, like I just did. 122 probably.
Not really. I don't think 121 and 122 is really that good of a story.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think it's a well-paced story. I mean, for the significant events that happen, I'm trying to think. I always, issue 200 was always a favorite of mine, where Peter or Spider-Man settles his oldest score, as I always said, with the burglar. Certainly not 500, which is a Doctor Strange fever dream.
That's Straczynski too. We praise Straczynski a lot on this show.
I always liked issue 153 with the scientist in the football game.
The football, yeah, you've mentioned that one.
Yeah, where the first time Spider-Man cusses in the comic books.
Does he say "damn it"? Is that right, or hell?
Hell. He says hell.
Yeah.
He just turns around and clocks the guy and knocks him in the next week or whatever. So,
George, some of your favorite Amazings to answer that earlier question?
I have periods. I don't have favorite comics so much as I have favorite periods. The Romita Senior, Stan Lee period, very much loved. We've just done 2 issues from kind of early on in Jerry Conway when you had Conway and Gil Kane and Ross Andrew. Stern in the 80s. We've talked about how much we love the Hobgoblin stuff on here more times than I can remember. If we had a dime for every time we talked about the greatness of Roger Stern, we'd all be rich.
Neil wants to know, JR, how would it feel if the Green Goblin said, "We live in a society" in a future film? I don't get that.
I don't get it either.
Okay.
What is the question? He asked what?
What if the Green Goblin said in a feature film, "We live in a society," unquote? I don't get it, Neil. Vinkman, JR's favorite is the second issue of the Spider-Man magazine. I've heard him talk many times about that.
That's a fair guess. Yeah, Vinkman.
George loves Venom. Yep, loves him. Yep.
I will slap you.
Who's our favorite villain? Obviously, JR is the Goblin. George is Stegron, I guess. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Always the answer is Stegron. Aside from that answer,
because he's a half man, half dinosaur.
Yes, I mean that part's obvious, but no. Aside from my deep love of Stegron, I used to be a fan of the Green Goblin as a villain, but now I tend to lean more towards Otto. I think Otto is just way more interesting.
I think my favorite two are Osborn and Ock, but like you, George, they fluctuate over the decades. Sometimes Ock is better, sometimes Norman's better. Norman under Slott was not good. Ock under Slott was good, and we haven't seen Spencer's Ock or Norman, so that'll be good to see.
Michael Reed had a question if we had read the first issue of Friendly Neighborhood yet, which we talked about, but he might not have been here earlier.
I've been spoiled by it. I haven't read it, so you can talk if you want.
JR, have you read it?
Actually, I read I read it to the point where the kids with the glowing eyes showed up. I didn't read the backup story. So
okay. I read it and I liked it. I was surprised how much I liked it because I was expecting another crap fest like that Zdarsky thing.
Like Zdarsky. Exactly.
Yeah, I was expecting it's a goofy off book that they're not even trying with.
But to end on that cliffhanger, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that cliffhanger's dark, and
yeah.
I don't.
Now the question, we can talk about this on News with the rest of them, but we'll talk about it now.
Some people in here may not have read it. That's the thing.
Okay, if you have not read it, turn off the YouTube chat because I wanted to ask about this. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We didn't lose a single viewer. All right. Some people are saying because Aunt May has possibly breast cancer, that is a consequence of Mary Jane and Peter being back together because the devil is interfering because the one more day thing is coming into effect. Do you think that is true, George?
I think it could be because here's the thing. While one more day, and it's hard to believe now that one more day, that joke was, the joke was Sata is
12 years on, right? 07?
No. It was the end of,
or was it 8?
I think it was the end of 2008. More or less, it's been a decade now.
It's been a decade.
Happened. And of course, Tom Brevoort was like, "They'll be over it in just a matter of years." And here we are, still talking about what a shit show it was.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect, the fans have been proven more prescient than Tom Brevoort has. And I said it again. I believe that Spencer's run is a mea culpa. Is the biggest mea culpa we're going to get to. Yeah, the book has really been kind of non-Spider-Man-y, for a while now. But no, I think that is. I think it's a possibility because think of how often One More Day is still referenced, if not in Amazing Spider-Man.
Deadpool.
Spidey Deadpool has talked about it a ton. Has had like every other, it seems like every other month or something, and Spidey Deadpool is like having some sort of reference to it.
Yeah.
So it's and while at the same time that's kind of a throwaway book or whatever, it's over here. It's not really an impactful thing. It's more like I'm eating popcorn watching a movie thing. I think it very well could be a thing where. A thing where it's finally come due, because while it's been 10 years for us, it has not been 10 years for
right.
Peter, Mary Jane, or Aunt May.
Do you think that starts a path to Spencer taking on and undoing that the deal with the devil?
I think it. I don't know about undoing the deal with the devil so much as dealing with the deal with the devil.
I know you and JR both want the marriage to come back, but that would be the ultimate ending. However, the ending that
it's not an ending.
I mean the ultimate ending.
Was your marriage an ending?
No, I'm saying it'd be the ending of that One More Day story. Like we could probably move on if it was restored.
We don't need it. we don't need it. I don't need it to be the end of one more day so much as I need it to. And Spencer's been doing this already. He's been fixing a lot of things that have been wrong the last 10 years. I need for it to be dealt with. The fact that Peter Parker, where other superheroes would punch Mephisto in the face, the fact that Marvel's premier flagship character would make a deal with somebody that is so uncharacteristic of the character to even make.
What I would like, because I like the Mary Jane and Spider-Man dynamic as it is right now.
Right.
Granted, they married, it was okay, but I think having another marriage would just be dealing with too much continuity again. However, I would like him to win. I would like the hero to win and break the spell.
Well, for them to win, really, I mean, like, if we were talking about Spider-Man to win over the devil, he gets his marriage back.
I know.
The thing is, you don't make a deal with the devil and come out a winner later on, unless you're.
Maybe he breaks the spell, but he's still not married.
Unless you're Johnny from The Devil Went Down to Georgia. That's just not a thing that happens. You know. So I think this could be part of that. I mean, if it winds up, I don't know though, because Spencer hasn't really done that much with Aunt May right now. You know?
No, hasn't. No.
He hasn't really. And so that may be an indicator. The fact that Spencer hasn't really done a lot with him may be an indicator of the fact that, they're planning to go ahead and kill her.
And, he didn't deal much with Jonah, but he brought in Zdarsky's Jonah in the last 2 issues. I know who Spider-Man is. I'm wondering if they're going to start a plot in a satellite and then bring it into the main book. With Mary Jane. I mean,
if it's going to happen, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to start in the sequel.
Adam says Spencer's going to make Aunt May the centipede demon.
It makes me wonder. Because think about it. Remember that one time when didn't Vulture have cancer? Wasn't that why he became young again?
Yeah, the 90s.
Yes.
It's starting to make me think, because Aunt May now in the MCU is a 40-something-year-old woman. It makes me wonder if they're going to try to de-age her.
Oh, no.
Turn her into Marissa Tomei.
Yeah.
That's the worst. No, don't even put that out there, George.
It makes me wonder about it because I mean, think about it. Remember even on that horribly crappy Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, Aunt May was younger because of the Ultimate Aunt May. The Ultimate Universe died out like a bad fart, and we're still trying. It's amazing to me how much the MCU tries to take from Ultimate Marvel, which is a failed continuity.
Yeah.
And how much Marvel is still trying to pull things from Ultimate Marvel, which again is a failed continuity. We only have one or a handful of characters from that reality even left.
We have Miles, Gonky.
Why are we trying to keep this damn thing alive? Never mind.
We have the evil Reed Richards, but
whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. But yeah, I think what's going on with that May could very well be related to, because that's how deals with the devil work. It's a monkey's paw.
Yeah.
As Ryan Reed just said on Facebook and on our review staff page, we had a brief discussion about it.
Adam wants to know, he says, George, Brad, and JR, you guys still think there's a role for Aunt May in the comics?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It reminds him of the failure he did with Uncle Ben. Aunt May reminds him constantly.
Well, I mean, it's good for him to have family. I mean, Mary Jane, he's not married to Mary Jane anymore. We wish he would be. But when your theme is great power, great responsibility, there is no bigger responsibility than family.
Mm-hmm.
None.
And he needs a supporting cast. I mean, that's one of the things that's harmed Spider-Man over the years is somebody says, "Oh, it'd be cool to kill this character. It'd be cool to kill," and then you wind up and then it's like, what the hell happened to Spider-Man's supporting cast? He doesn't have one. I don't believe in killing off characters. I think that, if you don't have a use for them, you send them to Florida or something. How
many people have tried to kill Aunt May, JR? You had Marv Wolfman. You had
well, I don't think that was always a con from the beginning. I don't think that was always a
J.M. DeMatteis killed her.
Yeah.
John Byrne killed her.
And also think about it this way.
John Byrne brought her back. I'm sorry.
Also, another thing, Brad, that could tie into to Aunt May probably having cancer and possibly dying and everything. Marvel is still, aren't they? Superior Octopus, is that still a thing?
Yeah, they just launched the #1.
See, what would you have that kind of a story? Dr. Octopus is probably going to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
I could even see a possible scenario where Spencer writes something where Otto and Peter are working together to try to save his aunt.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
That'd be a good tie-in to make more sales for that satellite.
And again, it'd be a story that that goes back to what I've been saying about Otto, what I've always been said about Otto, but what I said about Otto earlier. He's got that spark of humanity in him, still buried deep underneath the many layers of complete raving psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
That would do everything that he could to try to save Aunt May. He absolutely would.
Did you two read that Superior Spider-Man #1 that just came out by chance?
No.
Yeah. It's okay. It's a B out of me, I think.
Which Spider-Man is it this time?
Well, it's Doc Ock. You know,
Yeah.
he got his body got cloned.
No, done.
And it's like Peter and him had a kid, so he's got half Peter's body, half Ock's body.
That's horrifying.
Anna Maria says, "Oh, I'm going to call the cops because I figured it out." And he's a professor at Horizon University over in San Francisco. So
No. Why are you going to call the cops on Otto? Otto was nothing but nice to her.
no, he tricked her. He tricked her. He pretended he was Peter Parker.
He also made her feel better than she's ever felt in her life.
That's true.
What a dick.
Neil says, if you look at the solicits for Friendly Neighborhood 3, Peter gets dragged into a fiery pit that looks like hell. Ooh, there you go.
It needs to be addressed. One More Day needs to be, it does need to be the end of the One More Day story, but it needs to be final. We need to get past the fact that there is Peter having in the same way that Spencer dealt with right off the bat about Peter having a doctorate he didn't earn, you know, which is so antithetical to the character.
Yeah, Spencer's doing that.
Slott never wanted to address it because Slott doesn't understand the character. Spencer gets on board and it's like, God almighty, no. Hell no, because this is not who Peter Parker is. Something we've been saying for how long since it happened.
I know. The Goofy Strawberry says, "What would you do if Spider-Man was in your home, Mr. Crawlspace?" First of all, don't forget the hyphen in Spider-Man.
Yeah, you're going to trigger Brad.
I'm slightly triggered right now. What would I do if Spider-Man was in my house? Well, first I would take him to the spider basement and I would introduce him to the webcam, everybody watching right now, and I'd show him the spider shrine, and he would probably think I'm a stalker. And maybe we would go get on a gargoyle together and look at the metropolis of Joplin, Missouri. I'm just kidding. There are no gargoyles. This doll up. What would you, JR, Spider-Man enters your house. Do you call 911 or do you fanboy?
No, I light up another marijuana cigarette.
George, do you go drinking with Spider-Man? Do you get Peter Parker drunk?
No, because Peter Parker wouldn't go drinking.
That's true. What would you go do with Spider-Man? If he showed up and said, "Hey, buddy, let's go party."
Definitely wouldn't take him to go see Spider-Verse.
He's not in it.
No, I don't know. I'd have this completely meta conversation with him. Yeah. And then I'd ask him, like, how does it feel that these people in New York have tortured you for the last, almost 60 years? How does that make you feel? Don't you want some payback? Go to New York, get payback on these. No, I would. No, I'd probably hug him and I'd say, thank you for being you.
Matt Bird says, "What did Peter give Mary Jane the first time he proposed to her? It was Cracker Jack, wasn't it? Cracker Jack ring? That's like a spider history or spider Jeopardy."
He gave her a box of Cracker Jacks, and inside of it was a wedding ring.
Was a wedding ring, yeah. Mm-hmm. But kill Peter or Miles. Is the next question. I don't want to kill either one of them. I like both of them.
Miles and Gonky. Let the Ultimate Universe die. God almighty.
Oh, they're both. I'd ask why he made a. Neil says, "I'd ask Peter why he made a deal with the devil," and you go, "What?"
Yeah, Peter wouldn't understand what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, what happened to your wedding ring, Peter? I thought you had one under this glove.
Yeah, I would definitely show him. Oh, by the way, you're married. Look at all this, and he'd be like, "Oh my God, I traded my wife for that." Oh no.
Michael Reed would ask him boxers or briefs. I think Spider-Man wears boxers. You often see spider symbols on them.
We have seen Spider-Man in both.
Secret Wars, right? Secret Wars 2.
We have seen Spider-Man in both boxers and briefs.
That's true.
Speaking of underwear, and Boomerang wearing Peter's underwear.
Oh yeah,
which I mean, I've got a nasty sense. I mean, a sense of humor and like dirty jokes and things like that, like any other red-blooded male. But that just wasn't even slightly amusing. But the thing that gets me about Boomerang is they're making Boomerang this lovable kind of rogue. And doesn't anybody remember when he gutted Jackpot's husband? I mean, in the Jackpot miniseries,
I think
Boomerang and just gutted her.
Yeah, I think the point about Boomerang, though,
Fred, bad boy.
I think the point about Boomerang, and especially the way that Spencer does him, is to make him an antagonist that you actually like.
Yeah.
I mean, Fred's a dick. Straight up, Fred's former friends would tell you how big of an asshole Fred is.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between being a dick and being somebody who murders a man in front of his wife and child. I mean, how do you?
You're the only one that remembers him doing that to Jackpot's husband. I don't remember that. I read the damn thing.
It's a universe where Reed Richards isn't in jail and should be at this point.
That's true.
So you're asking a lot right now, JR.
Well, if you try to undo one more day, though, then Peter has to ask himself, why did I behave in such an unheroic way? I mean, I don't know. It just, when you look at One More Day, there is just so much there. One More Day, beyond the fact that it eliminated the marriage, is such a violation of basic storytelling and basic. I mean, you take your hero and you make him look horrible. You make your hero look like a fool and a whiny mama's boy, and just again you give him this crazy Deus ex machina or whatever, and help him undo every bad decision he's made over the last year. And like I've always said, if you turn in that story in a creative writing class, you get an F. Yeah. And yet Marvel goes around trying to pass it off as a legitimate story. But anyway, but yeah, you'd have to, how would Peter reconcile such an idiotic decision to begin with? So.
Goofy Strawberry says, "Have you finished Spider-Man PS4, Mr. Crawlspace?" You can call me Brad. It's cool.
It's easier than typing out Mr. Crawlspace.
Yeah, BRAD is a lot shorter. Yeah, and thank you for putting a hyphen in Spider-Man. Now that's very good. No, I haven't. I finished the main story. Got 100% on that. I finished the Black Cat DLC. I finished Turf Wars. I have not finished the Silver Sable third DLC. I downloaded that before Christmas, and since Christmas it's been nuts. So I plan to go back and beat that maybe this weekend, actually. But from several that I've talked to, it's the weakest of the three. The last chapter, which I thought chapter 2 was so slow.
I read somewhere where there's going to be, I guess, Fantastic Four stuff coming for it.
Yeah, what I gather from that is he'll probably have 2 suits, if I had to guess. The white suit from the Hickman run when Spider-Man was on the team after Giant Storm died, and also maybe the Amazing Bagman's coming.
I was thinking they're going to probably have like the Human Torch in it or something.
I think it's just a costume because I haven't heard any DLCs.
I thought the bag thing was already in there.
No, Bagman's not in there because Spencer was showing me all the costumes, and there were some other variations I don't recognize that one. Where's that one from? And of course Spencer, I said, well, wait a minute, where's Bagman? And Bagman's not in there. And Spencer was thinking probably because of maybe a licensee deal with because it was a Fantastic Four costume.
Yeah.
So, but no, Bagman isn't there.
They have one where Spider-Man's just wearing the mask and he's just wearing boxers.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's an awkward one.
Now, Bagman was in though an earlier Spider-Man video game though.
He's been in several. I've seen several Bagman.
Didn't he have that suit in that Ultimate Marvel game? What was it?
Ultimate Alliance.
Didn't he? Wasn't that one of the costumes? You could
maybe.
I know it was a costume you could get in that Marvel Heroes MMO game.
I think I remember it being in the PS1 Spider-Man game too. I think from way back.
It was.
In the
It was. Yeah.
day. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of.
Okay, the goofy strawberry. Okay, Brad, me or Gwen? I gotta go Gwen, man. I don't know you, Strawberry.
We're getting into the stupid questions now. It's probably time to wrap it up.
I agree. All right.
Yeah, I got to go to work tomorrow morning. So.
Same here. YouTubers, we've gained viewers over when we started. We're up to 13, so there you go. Thank you for tuning in, YouTube. I appreciate it. Any final thoughts, JR?
Nope.
There you go.
Nope. Does that mean we're going to wait another year before doing any more spider history?
No. We're gonna record. We'll wait until March to do both these. That's when I'll need episodes.
All right.
And March will be here before you know it. Goofy Spider-Man, Mary Jane all the way over Gwen every day. Mary Jane every day. I think all three of us would prefer Mary Jane over Gwen. Was that right?
Well, yeah.
All three of us.
Gwen's dead.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
And considering that she was kind of psycho anyway, there at the end. So
if you're somebody who wants Peter with Gwen now instead of MJ, you're a sicko. Because hang on. Because if Peter Parker's been anything, and he's been a lot of things throughout his career, necrophiliac has never been one of them. All right.
Now here, in all fairness, George, they're not as old as we are, and when they say Gwen, they think Emma Stone. They think Spider Gwen from the films, from the films.
Emma Stone was way more interesting than the comic book Gwen.
Comic book Gwen was psycho in the beginning.
Comic book Gwen was a bipolar psychopath.
She was bipolar in the beginning, and then she became. When her father died, she hated Spider-Man, and it's a mess.
There was a reason they killed her.
Gwen Stacy, that's Spider-Gwen and Spider-Gwen's book, has damn near nothing to do with Gwen Stacy. It's a 2019 version of Gwen Stacy.
And what? Shocking as it was, I dare say at the time, if they had put in a 900 number to see if Gwen lives or dies, the outcome would have been the same.
Even Jason Todd would have called in for that if he was alive then. Okay, that was a good one to end on. Thank you, YouTube chat. That was fun to talk to. All right, let me hit